of the time is comedies, just legit comedies.
Yeah. Like, what's a comedy? Like, okay, you're watching TV, you're at home, you're just like channel surfing, end of the night. You're going down through the channels, and there's a movie. Like, doesn't matter what, you'll watch it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Superbad.
Superbad is
21 or 22 Jump Street.
I haven't seen those forever either.
Due Date is a great movie. That one's funny, kind of a little bit serious, but funny.
I don't think they've made a comedy like Superbad.
See, that's why I say I'm one-dimensional, is I just referred to Due Date as like kind of serious, not serious at all. But like in my mind, that's like more of a serious comedy. Like there's some deeper stuff
some levels.
there. But yeah, like I have a really hard time watching movies that I've never seen before. So I have to be really careful when I start a movie that I've never seen before, because I'll get super into it and I'll think about it all through the day.
Yeah.
It's like if I watch it too late at night, I won't sleep good.
We're the same
Really?
way.
Yeah.
You too?
Like I have to be
me too.
really
What's your favorite
careful.
movie?
I've been watching Austin Powers like over and over.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them. I downloaded a bunch on the hunt.
I like a comedy,
great
but I
movies.
can't. I don't watch comedies
See,
like
that
over and over.
my favorite movie though is not a comedy. My
What is it?
favorite movie is Snatch.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's a good one.
love Snatch. Like that is a phenomenal
Guy
movie.
Ritchie film.
Never heard
Yeah,
of it.
but like movies like that, you never heard of it?
No.
It's a phenomenal movie. There's so many layers. It's like an onion. It's like the deeper
Shrek?
it gets. Yeah, like Shrek.
Shrek, your favorite movie?
Lord of the Rings, man.
Lord of the Rings.
You guys all know that.
All the
That-
whole series?
Dude, just
Which
love them
one?
all.
Which one of yours is the favorite? Do you have one that's a favorite?
I mean, Return of the King, probably.
I can't say that I've ever actually seen all of them.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
This movie, he's
Yeah,
playing the
Snatch is
trailer right
great.
now. Oh God, it's a great movie.
Yeah, really good.
See,
With Jason Statham?
He's in it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I fucking love
a
Jason
lot. A
Statham.
lot of guys are in it.
Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah, Brad Pitt's in it. There's a ton of dudes in it.
Oh, that is a good movie. That's your favorite movie?
Yeah, like that would, if I had to say my number one movie all time, it'd be Snatch. But I have to be very careful about watching movies like this. Like it's got to be middle of the day on a Saturday.
Stays with you.
Yeah, like
Have you seen Bullet Train?
no.
Oh, dude, it's so
I've
good.
heard I've heard it's awesome.
so good.
You'd love Bullet Train.
But like I got to, my
Fight-
4-year-old's puts a real
Fight
damper
Club?
on these. I've seen Fight Club. I love Fight Club.
My oldest just watched Fight Club like 2 weeks ago.
That's a deep movie too. I like
Yeah,
it.
that was pretty good. It was funny because like he was going into it, and I'm like, oh, I think you'll really like it. And then he got all the way to the end, and he's like, man, I did not see that coming. I was like, really?
As you get older, you definitely see that coming.
You know what's funny is like I took my kid to see Air. Have you seen that? Air,
Like Air Bud.
like Air Jordan, like the story of Nike
with
and,
Ben
and
Affleck.
Jordan.
I
Yeah,
do
Ben
want to see
Affleck.
that. I want to see that.
Very good movie. But I noticed I took him to the theater to see it. He and I sat and watched the whole thing, and like throughout the movie, like every 20 minutes, he's like pulling out his phone, checking it, and I'm like, man, attention spans these days
Just not there.
just not. to sit and
Well,
watch the whole movie.
he probably doesn't know Michael Jordan either, though.
He knows Jordan. He's a diehard basketball. He doesn't know Michael
Exactly.
Jordan.
Not like
I mean, he
we-
doesn't have the connection that I have to Michael
Yeah,
Jordan.
exactly.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
have a
buy
connection with
Jordans?
Michael Jordan?
huh?
You have a connection with Michael Jordan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, deep connection.
That is a wild story, though. That's why I want to see that movie. It's
great.
The Adidas Nike thing.
It's really, really good.
I really want to see that.
You should go check it out before at least theaters. I don't know. Do you go to movies?
I mean, I would love to, but I got this 4-year-old weight on my ankle all the time.
Yeah,
so
I think that's the first movie I've seen in theaters since COVID.
I would like to.
The whole break.
Go Hunt office bonding experience. We all just go to the movie.
Movie.
That's a good way for me to go
What?
get into a new movie.
Just to
That's
throw
been
that
the-
idea out there.
Yeah, that's been the first movie that I've actually like wanted to see in a while. Like
I
they're
wanna
just-
see it, too.
They don't make. I don't think they make good movies anymore.
Because
Not
everything's
really.
on like streaming devices that are way better.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
extended
like
episodes.
Series. Yeah.
I am familiar enough with the overall story of like what happened, so it makes me really interested to watch the movie of exactly what happened.
You get it.
know?
You remember Jordan? It was
Oh yeah,
like
and I remember
early
the
90s.
and I
You
remember
don't,
the Adidas.
No.
And I remember the Adidas Nike breakdown. Like what happened there. I remember all of it. I've
Yeah.
read the Nike book. What's it called?
Shoe Dog.
Shoe Dog.
Yeah. Like I'm familiar. I want to watch a movie of exactly what
I'll
happened.
be interested to hear what your take on like Phil Knight as a character. Ben Affleck plays it. It's interesting. I'm like, I wonder if he was really like that. Yeah, he's a kind of an eccentric guy. At least that's the way he's played. I don't know if he is in real life. It doesn't come out in the book. Like when you read
No.
Shoe Dog, the book.
No, it
that-
doesn't.
The book and then the part that Ben Affleck played as Phil Knight in the movie, to me, were like a little convoluted. I I was like, I don't know. I wonder if he is really like that. But it's good, man. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Movies. You watch series? Netflix? No?
I mean, I got to be careful because nighttime is that's like
You're
our
like
time.
The Heath Ledger, you're gonna start turning into the character.
No, I just think about it too much.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know. It's weird.
mean,
I'm like not that deep of a thinker though either. It's movies for whatever reason just kind of throw me off a little bit. Yeah,
I think you should just watch GOHUNT Originals in the evening.
Just
I watch a
over and
lot of
over.
those.
Those are honestly the best. Can you call it a movie?
Yeah.
Call it a movie.
All right, we're calling it a movie.
Film,
Call it
movie?
original.
Film,
Original.
documentary. Not
Yeah.
a short.
I watch a lot of those at night. I watch a lot of hunting stuff before I go to bed.
Yep. Well, welcome back, Brady.
We're back.
Brady and Omar, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Omar, your second appearance on the podcast.
Second.
Are you thinking of making it just like a thing? You want to be on the podcast?
If you guys want me on the podcast, if you guys think I'm interesting, I will gladly be on the podcast.
Any hesitation to coming back on?
No.
No, you're totally you're good with it. You're
totally
chill.
in.
But
Yeah.
one thing though, did you ever go seek out advice on your running? Because we got a lot of comments that you're basically going to destroy your body unless you get a coach.
You're overtraining, Omar.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Did you read the comments?
I do the Joe Rogan approach. I don't read comments.
Hey, listen, there was a lot of people who showed some genuine worry for you. Like
Yeah.
genuinely posted some good comments for you.
Then they're not going to be happy to hear I'm running an ultra marathon this weekend.
Is it this weekend?
Yeah, it's this weekend.
Where at?
Bryce
It's not
Canyon.
It's Bryce?
Yep, Bryce Canyon.
Bryce this weekend.
Yep.
32 miler?
38.
After what we just went through, he's going to go and run 38 miles.
Good for you.
Are you
man.
ready?
I feel ready. I think like what was done recently was way harder than any
60
ultra.
days ago.
60 days ago
In
was
Spain?
In
Yeah.
Spain, yeah, was way harder than any ultra or anything. Honestly, and the ultra is just like a grind. Like for so long, I feel like it's just. But so is a hunt, and even longer, especially the amount of days that we're out there. So I don't know. I think those are easy. They're just shorter pain. Well, like a hunt's just pain consistently.
What's the furthest you've ever run at one go?
44 miles with
Yeah.
like 11,000 feet of gain, and that was just on a random Saturday where I drove up to Mount Hood and just was like, I'm gonna go circumnavigate Mount Hood, and did
Well,
it.
the real story is you quit your job.
I quit my job. Yeah,
And he was like,
You were on
he was
a-
on a high. He's like, I quit.
I did.
He was on a high.
yeah, did that, and I went bear hunting, which didn't kill a bear that time, but tried.
Yeah. So are you nervous at all? Like how long is it going to take you to run 38 miles? You figured it out?
13 hours maybe. I don't know. I'm not like a fast runner, not a slow runner. I think I'm kind of just like that happy medium. As long as I just finish under 15, I think that's. I'm not really like one of those persons like, this is my goal. Like I want to like finish on this certain time. I kind of want to finish at like a medium, length or whatever. Like the reason it came up was actually because my roommate wanted like to start running, and I was like, oh dude, like let's sign up for ultra, and he was like, okay, and it's like,
So he signed up too?
I want to start running. Let's sign up for an ultra.
oh, he signed up for the 18
yeah.
miler.
I want to start running. Let's sign up
That's
for an
the,
18
whole,
miler.
that's the whole shtick right now. I mean, 200 is the new 100, right?
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
It's like
crazy.
everybody thinks that you don't just start with a marathon or even a half marathon. Like, let's just jump and run a 50K.
Yeah. So he wanted to start running, and I was like, I'm your guy. Like, where do you want to go? He's like, there's a ultra here in Bryce Canyon. I was like, all right, let's do it. Got hotels and everything, so should be fun. He's gonna do the 18 miler, and I'll do the 38 miler because I'm the big dog.
He's doing the 18.
Yeah.
Is that the furthest he's ever ran?
Yeah. For
So
my
he's shitting a brick then today. Yeah. He's somewhere going, oh man.
he's probably freaking out right now, like laying in bed trying to recover. I don't know.
Yeah. You staying at Ruby's End?
No, I'm staying. I don't even know where.
In Tropic?
No, in what's that? There's like a town 15 minutes away from Bryce Canyon.
Tropic.
I'm staying at like some like run-down hotel that my mom booked for me.
The Pines, maybe.
Might be that one.
Your mom's your manager?
My mom's my ultra manager.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. Hey, is Tropic Reservoir still good fishing?
Yeah, man.
I used to fish that as a kid all the time.
Yeah, Tropic. I bet it's full. I haven't been up there in ages, but I grew up
The
working
fishing
at
when
Bryce Canyon.
when I was a kid.
Yeah,
it was
really
awesome.
good. Yeah, I love that area. It's cool country. Yeah, I grew up working at Old Bryce Town, so you have to stop by
Okay.
and check it out.
See Cheryl's old
My old-
digs.
Old stomping grounds.
Yeah, I started there when I was 11.
Okay.
By the way, I started running cash register at 11.
Really?
Yeah,
It's a true story. Wow.
Yeah, between 11 and 12th birthday that summer. Yeah, I started running cash register up there.
Oh man,
Did you steal any money?
No.
that's
Look
so
at you.
Cigarettes? Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I still feel bad. Yeah, I see some people I worked up there that own the place, just the nicest people on the planet, and I still feel bad about it. So
Stealing the
I probably ought to pop
cigarettes?
in and pay them back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cyrits. Yeah, shout out Cyrits and Ruby's End. They run a cool operation up there, and they've been there forever. So, but you guys are back from a bear hunt.
We are back from a bear hunt.
We wanted to do a recap today, kind of run through your bear hunt, talk about the highs and lows.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we want to give it away, but it looked pretty successful.
It looked very successful. Yes, I'll agree with that. So
Yeah.
if you want to stick around, you'll hear more about success.
Yeah, I told Brady this yesterday. He walked into my office. I'm like, man, you every time. It's like Brady goes out, and it might not be, like your mule deer sabbatical, but it might not be the exact thing, but like something's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like every time he goes out, something's going to happen.
Yeah, some sort of adventure. He's going to shoot
Yeah.
something.
Close to dying.
Close to dying.
Yeah.
Did you come close to dying? We'll find out.
yeah.
We'll find out. We'll flesh it out. I'm going to hit you with the promo first, though. So you guys are just back from bear hunt. Wyoming draw results posted today, apparently, for non-residents for elk. We're still trying to determine if Omar had any luck.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Well, I gotta tag
Shut
another
your mouth. What are you talking about?
other areas. So like it's kind of getting to like the point of the season where it's like I hope I don't draw anything because my season's already kind of planned out.
Omar and I got a thing.
Yep.
You got a plan in place.
We got a plan in place.
Nice.
Yeah.
I hope I draw everything.
Me too. I always hope I draw.
Like,
I'm always let down. Even if I'm like back in my head, I'm like, I'm kind of booked up. But like when I see unsuccessful, I'm still pissed.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, I hate it. Drives me bananas. I hate not drawing a tag.
Well, Wyoming's one of those states where they don't give you your money back, right? So it's kind of one of those states where.
They'll give you your money back if you're,
Oh, they do?
if you're unsuccessful.
Oh right.
Yeah.
But if you're
Tag.
if you're successful though,
Yeah, it's your tag.
You gotta
own
go,
it.
yeah.
You can't turn it in. Yeah, you're going hunting.
yeah. So
Congratulations, but we'll find out. But yeah, still kind of like a lot on the docket still. I mean, for guys that haven't drawn a tag yet, you still got some draws available to apply for, whether that's Wyoming antelope and deer, or potentially Arizona deer, bighorn sheep. There's still a bunch of draws open, and you've got the OTC stuff in Colorado, which is probably what I'm looking at. So I'm diving and doing my own insider research. But we have a special promo we're doing right now. This is new for us, right?
Yep.
Just rolling it out. It's the 50-50-50 promo. So you sign up, you pay $50 for a GOHUNT Explorer account, which is the map
membership.
portion of it.
50 states.
You're going to get 50 states, all 50 states as part of your Explorer membership on maps. And then we're going to give you 50 points back into the GOHUNT Gear Shop, which is $50, $50 that you can use towards the purchase of any gear in the GOHUNT Gear Shop. So it's a pretty killer deal. Essentially, we're giving you maps for free, and
Yep.
you get $50 to spend in the GOHUNT Gear Shop.
use promo code podcast.
Podcast, that's it. I almost forgot the actual promo code.
That's what we got. We got a good wave going on. I knew what you were doing. I didn't want to interrupt. I was going to be like, that was a really good
Were you
read.
waiting for your moment? You're like, I'm going
Yeah.
to jump in here. I'm going to capitalize on it. Yeah, good thing, because I would have forgot. I actually did forget last week.
We did?
Yeah, I had.
Really?
Yeah, me.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, we had the Bone Zone. We had some shed hunters in the office, and I actually forgot the promo code.
That's
So
actually a podcast, by the way, not to get into tangents, that I really want to listen to. I want to hear these shed hunters talk about shed hunting. I haven't listened to it yet, so don't
Yeah.
spoil anything, but I am really looking forward to listening
we
to
gave
that
it to
one.
him pretty good.
It's interesting for sure.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. Those guys were game for taking some tough questions.
Yeah.
So,
They would love to see my shed video that I'm going to post eventually.
did you pick up a shed?
Yeah, I showed it to Campos and all the other shed hunters in the office. Like, this is what you actually do to sheds. I walked up to it, I admired it, I picked it up, admired it again.
Did
then
you smell
I
it?
chucked it.
Did you smell it?
No, why did you smell it?
Was it brown?
No.
that's why you didn't
but
smell
no,
it.
yes, if it was brown, I
You'd
would
have
smell
smelled
it.
it.
I had smelled brown
You're right.
before.
He's a shed sniffer. I knew he
Yeah.
would be.
You're right then.
That's a thing, man.
is it really?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you press these shed hunters on it. He's like, why does everybody smell the shed? I'm like, wait,
Those guys are
that's a
full of
thing?
shit. I guarantee you those guys are shed sniffers. Everybody is.
Everyone
It's a
does.
shed hunter.
They
Everybody's
smell
picked
really
one-
good. A good brown elk shed, I will say, does smell good.
Yeah, it's got like some earthy smell to
Yeah.
it. It's like some pine, some dirt. It's got a little bit of elk musk on it. It's
Never even knew that
it's
was a
thing. Yeah, that is definitely a thing.
But every shed I found, I literally picked it up, looked at it, and shucked it back. He said, "Yeah, this is what shed hunter,
My man.
my
Yeah.
shed hunting style."
That's my man right there.
Consequently, last night I ran into a game warden from Utah that I know, and I just random asked him, how many citations have you guys been issuing for shed hunters like prior to the opening up? And he said a boatload.
Wow.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, said a lot. Said
so
I don't know
shitty.
if I should even say. He said they busted one guy in the same week. Same guy twice.
No
In
way.
the same week?
Yeah.
Just repeat offender.
Yeah,
Dude,
repeat offender out.
come on.
Is that
man.
hashtag shedicated?
I mean, if you just can't say no. That's what that is. You're addicted beyond. You're a crackhead at that point.
Your
sheds.
addiction has a hold of you.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was interesting. But yeah, promo code podcast. Get yourself some maps. Get $50. With that, let's dive in. Let's talk about bears. Some of our, some of our most listened to episodes are Brady Miller recaps of his hunts.
I get really long-winded. I apologize right now.
I don't think you should apologize because people seem to dig it.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so
And
embrace it.
like I said, people know when Brady's out, when it's a Brady Miller hunt recap, there's something there. Like there is something happened, something's good or just wild, but something's always there.
Yeah.
Like the point earlier we said to wait. What was your exact quote? I think it was, "I almost saw Jesus today."
Yeah.
He said, Omar literally said that multiple times on the hunt.
You almost did?
He almost
Oh,
saw
because
Jesus.
I almost like fell off like some rocky cliff and died. Like there's times actually where I slipped.
He was sliding,
And
like legit.
yeah, I mean, there's a time where I actually slipped and like if I wouldn't have had like held myself, I don't think I would have died, but I would have been in the river and like
Scary situation, really
yeah,
quick.
with the weighted pack and everything. And then like sometimes those pack straps, like you know, like the little chest one right here, like goes under your bino harness. Like if I can't get that out, and then there's like in the river, there's a spot with logs. So like if I go under, like my mind was just like, I almost met Jesus today. So
At one point, I was walking Omar through this river crossing. I was like, yeah, we could cross like, behind this log jam. I was like, if you go in front of it, you'll die. And he's like, I never really thought of that. I'm like, yeah, but you'll die because you're going to if you get swept underneath or if you get kicked
Oh,
out.
yeah, it's going to push you up.
Yeah.
You're going
against
to push
that
it up
jam.
against underneath all that stuff, and you're literally going to die. It's like all those little things that you might not think about because you're in the moment of, I just want to get across this river as quick as I can. I'm going to go on top of the log jam or in front of it because it looks easier because there's a little bench and it always gets deeper right in front of the log jam.
Yep.
Just the little things. Like we had a lot of moments like that.
yeah, we did.
I got a quick little story with Brady. Add some context to that. So how he got the nickname the Spider Monkey when we were hunting in Colorado. He walked out this goat trail. There's this big, like, just slick rock ridge, and he walked out this goat trail. And me, the cameraman, looked at each other. We're like, yeah, fuck that. Not doing it. Not doing it. And he walked it, no problem, goes out, glasses off the other side, comes back. We're like, dude, he's the Spider Monkey. That's what he does.
Yeah.
That's the kind of shit he does.
Yeah, it was fun.
I like to push my boundaries for a little bit of extra adrenaline and adventure and success.
It was
I think
like
if you
a
push
leg-
yourself harder, you're going to have success.
Legitimate little tiny goat trail.
Yeah.
Like not wider
Knife
than
back.
like as small as it gets.
I don't like that.
But that's because I had those tacky speed crosses back
No.
in the day.
I don't know what
I don't care what I have. I ain't doing it.
Yeah, that's how me and Mather looked at each other. We're like, "Yep, not doing it."
Oh, and
let us know what's over there.
There's a
Let me
lot
see a
of
buck.
ways I would like. I have no qualms with dying, falling down 1,000-foot face is not one of them. I'm not into that.
Yeah.
That was my decision in the moment. I'm like, "Yep, not going out that way."
I don't like that. So are we saying where you guys went at
No.
all? We
Spain.
are then.
Please no.
So where'd you go?
Mexico.
Mexico.
Go
So
south
you
of
guys,
the border.
You guys went on a bear hunt. Safe
We
to
went
say
bear
you went
hunt.
north.
And if you haven't listened, yet, we did it like we were talking about the podcast with Omar earlier. We broke down strategies and why I'm addicted to bears, gear stuff. That was the Bears, Beers, Battlestar Galactica podcast stuff. I'm not sure what number that was, but definitely
few
check
back.
that out too. That was a really good one.
That was
So we're
a good
now
one.
recapping that hunt that we just went on.
Yep.
So how do you want to attack this? I have some questions I want to ask him just periodically, but
Yeah, just- let's start
from
shooting.
from the from the jump, I wanted to know, bears, is it worth it to you? I would say, I know you're going to say yes, but like, why? Do you think somebody should come out and go on a bear hunt, and why?
I think they do because you're going to find out about yourself. You literally will find out everything you're made of, and then it's going to transition really well to a Western hunt in the fall. I think it really translates very, very well. If you want, most tags for bears they're easy to come by. There's a lot of states with over-the-counter spring bear opportunities, so you can come out, you can test your gear, you can use everything, and you're hunting there's a lot of different ways to kill bears. Obviously, there's different terrains, but like you're hunting some magnificent mountain ranges that then you can gain that experience to then put forward on a fall hunt.
Is that the draw for you? The scenery?
The scenery, Scenery, how like you legit, like Omar said, like there's times during the day where we almost met Jesus. Like, it's just that cool adventure side. You look at that cliff and you think, how are we going to get over there? And then we're on that face and you realize, wow, you can actually do this a lot easier than you thought you would. You might have got intimidated because the mountain range looks super steep and cliffed out and nasty. But once you're actually on that face, you realize that it opens the door to a whole different world. Like you're navigating in the terrain with these animals and like, how do they survive it? And like now I'm on that same face as they are. I'm working these cliffs, navigating it, figuring out, all right, we're going to drop bread trails on GOHUNT maps so we can navigate these cliffs in the daytime because we're going to have to turn around and come back in the dark. Like all those little learning experiences you have, I think it translates really well on a spring bear hunt that then goes forward on a fall hunt.
But you're not just bear hunting to make yourself a better mule deer hunt in the fall.
No, I mean, I'm actually addicted to hunting bears. Like they are legit my second favorite animal to hunt over elk for sure. Mule deer's number one, bear's number two.
That last podcast we did, that Bears, Beers, Battlestar Galactica, I wish you were here, but you weren't.
Yeah, I'm catching up. My apologies
but
if you're listening. You're like, I've heard this shit already.
I treated it a lot like we did the shed one, the Bone Zone, like where I wanted to see if they could make me interested in it or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pique my interest in it. Genuinely, Brady's got my interest
in bears.
Yeah, it does sound like everything you talked about. It does sound very, the challenge of the hunt itself, but also like what you can take from it going into the fall hunts.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Sounds pretty awesome, I should say.
It's a great precursor, like I always say, too, to test out new gear. Like if you have some new gear that came out this last winter, like whatever in the GOHUNT Gear Shop, you're buying some new gear, you want to break it in before a fall hunt, it's a great time to do it. Like you can make a bear hunt not as crazy as the bear hunts I go on for sure, and just test out some of that gear, figure out what works, what doesn't work, maybe test out some new food items. Maybe you got some freeze-dried meals you're interested in. Is that flavor going to wreck you? You should probably already test that at home, but you could kind of go on a hunt and.
Well, I got wrecked last week, by the way.
From
freeze-dried food.
Oh, you guys did that.
Yeah, you got wrecked. This is a complete side note, but last week we did a taste test. We did 7 Peaker Fuels and 7 Mountain Houses, and we did like a couple, probably 2-3 bites per meal. So that's 14 meals. Dude, I was not well when I got home. And that's not like to say anything against the food because the food tasted good, and I've eaten tons of freeze-dried food over the years. But, man, going home having eaten that much wasn't great. I didn't feel great.
And when I walked into the showroom and saw you guys filming, what did I say to you?
You were like, thank God it wasn't me, right?
And I said, thank you guys for your service.
Yeah, that's right.
It is not going unnoticed.
Thank you for your service. That's right. Yeah, that was a long-ass evening.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I agree with your point. How did you pick a spot to go bear hunting? Like, is this a spot you hunted before?
Nope. This is a completely new spot.
Totally new.
Totally new. Absolutely new. But I do have slight advantage because I have bear hunted for so many years now that I'm starting to, like I always say, every time you're going to the field, you're collecting data.
Yeah.
And so all these other previous bear hunts I've gone on, I'm marking where I see bears, where I see bear tracks, where I see bear scout, how I'm glassing from, like what mountain ranges are there just no bears? Like what does it take for green grass to start growing in these mountain ranges? What does impacts of snowpack do on bears? Like all those factors over the years I collected the big data set. And so I can extrapolate, like I always say, all that data to go into a new unit. And I think I can still be successful because of all the previous data I've collected. So I can take a new unit, jump on there. Terrain analysis tool is literally the best tool ever for spring bear hunting.
How are you using it?
Just taking, certain elevations.
What are they? You're not giving away anything?
There's a good elevation range. You might look at some, where below the snow. 5,000, maybe at 8,000. Maybe your mountain range is a little bit different.
So on a year like this, where you got a lot of snow, it's obviously going to change year to year, right? You're going to have different snow levels, the way it's receding, heat range.
I was going to jump in like this year. Did you guys notice? Did you go pre-planned knowing how much snow there was this year? Like, did you have you did?
I looked at all those snowpack maps. I did that article earlier this year, the importance of, utilizing snowpack maps when you're either researching, trying to draw a tag or trying to use it right now. And you can use those same sort of tools for a bear hunt then. Just constantly looking at, okay, what's the snow water equivalent?
So did it change your elevation this year as opposed to years past?
Yeah, for sure.
I would imagine it would have.
For sure it did. But like all that maps research using terrain analysis tool, like turning on a south-facing slope. Sure, you can turn on a south-facing slope, but what about a southeast-facing slope? What about an east-facing slope? What about a west-facing slope? Like you can't just say, I'm going to use this tool And that's my definitive final answer. Like, only the south-facing slopes I'm going to glass. Well, if you go out there and do that, you're probably setting yourself up for failure because you're putting all your eggs in one basket. You need to look at a bigger picture. But over time, you'll start realizing, okay, there's bears on this type of face, at this elevation, at this slope angle, and you can start manipulating the terrain analysis tool to spit out what you want. It's kind of like a choose your own ending type book deal because you can just manipulate that tool to get the results you want.
So you're using aspect. What about slope? How much does that factor into your location?
Really, on bears, it really does. And these things are in mountain goat country.
Isn't it crazy the stuff bears go through?
Yeah.
I remember one time I had a bear tag in Utah, and we ran a bear. So we had dogs, and we ran this bear, and we ran it down to the bottom of a canyon. And we could hear the dogs off in the bottom. It sounded like they had the bear either bayed or treed. So we peeled off, jumped off the horses, and we dove into the bottom of this canyon. But this bear had literally like picked its way up through these ledges and just left all the dogs at the base of the cliff, just like back and forth. Like dogs couldn't get up it, but that bear had worked his way up through those ledges somehow. And I remember looking at that face and just being like, damn, this is way more, they're way more capable than I ever thought.
Yeah. I think people like forget about that sometimes. You look at something like, oh, that's a steep cliff face. It looks like it's goat sheep country. But no, as long as there's going to be green grass right now, like that's what you're searching for. It's just the greenest vegetation when you're out there, you'll probably find a bear.
So slope you didn't take that into consideration at all.
No. Like, again, too, like you could have some rolling hills in the mountains that could have bears on if it's green grass. You could have some of the steepest, nastiest terrain. You can't just throw it out the window. You might say like, all right, I'm going to glass this because this looks steep and nasty. But also, I'm going to do some research over here where this stuff is a little more rolling, just to see if there's a bear that we can easier kill without, in a sense, killing ourselves to go on that steep, nasty cliff terrain. But one of the biggest tools, though, of the terrain analysis tool is using the flats layer. How much flat spots were out there where we hunted?
Very minimal.
Very minimal. So
what are you using those for? Are you using for camp spots? Are you using them for like places you think bears will be? What are you using them for?
Strictly camp spots.
Okay.
And describe our camp spot eventually. The one we got to after we moved camp, like 3 times?
Well, describe eventually. What happened before the eventually?
Yeah, I think we got to describe before. Brady, you go ahead, but...
Okay, I have a bunch of notes.
Before we do that, let's maybe look at I wanted to ask questions like this, like elevation, those kinds of things. And then I want to get into like the day by day and have you run me through everything. But like there's certain questions that I was hoping to ask to help people. But since you're going to be a little bit shady and you're not going to tell people what elevation.
We're here for the people, Brady.
We're here for the people, Brady. You're supposed to help people find a bear spot. I wanted to know what you're looking for. You've mentioned a couple times green grass.
Yep.
Just straight green grass, is that like the most important factor when you're looking for spring bears?
Right now it is, yeah, because that's what, like, it depends on the time of year you're hunting. Like if you go really late May, you're gonna have a lot more green grass everywhere, and so the bears have a lot more ability to move around the mountain face. If you go earlier, they're gonna be probably on some steep, nasty face, just getting out of their den, just hanging out. And then if you find one little small green patch while you're out there, you might want to sit in that for a couple of days, because a bear, you can see it one day, you go the next day, like, I want to kill that bear who was there that day. You might not be there, but like at the early season, they're kind of, you know, more just docile and just kind of hang out that spot. And then like as the season goes on, they're going to start moving around. Like the later May you get, they're going to kick in and start, the breeding phase and start chasing some sows. And so you might see a bear, and the next day he's going to be totally gone. And so then there's green everywhere. So then you can't like really pinpoint exactly that little tiny green patch and try to put all your eggs in that basket and glass that little.
So would your strategy, like the Brady Miller strategy, is go earlier? Like that's your go-to?
I've killed bears now across the entire month of May and into June. I've killed a bear on June 15th, the last hour of the last day of the season. Before killed them there. We saw a lot of bears, but they were hard to hunt. But there was a lot of bears. You could see them, but then you try to go make a stalk on, and that bear he's roaming.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and the risky part though, you go too early, you're dealing with snowpack. You're dealing with road access issues. You might not be able to get into that area because that road's going to be drifted over, especially a year like this. So you can't get up and over a mountain range. And then you might not, all the bears might not even be out of hibernation yet. Like you go early May, you might see, 2 bears a day, but you might have seen 6 if you went a week later. But it's hard to, determine that a bear is a bear. It's pretty random in his activity. So a bear could just be hanging out in the den longer.
So what I'm getting to in my mind is that it is a lot of just pre-strategy.
It's a lot of strategy and a lot of pros and cons.
Like pre-strategy, thinking through all the different things.
And I don't think there's really, I don't think I'd say there's a best time to go. I honestly, I'm fully saying that with everything. I want to help people. I don't think there's a true best date to go. Because
you just have to adjust your tactics. Based on when you go. In saying that, like I know that you picked the days. At least I think you did. I think you picked the days that you went precisely.
Yep, I did.
So dig into that. And did you do that because of what kind of, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm kind of putting together a picture in my mind. It sounds to me like you were trying to target a time frame when bears would be more centrally located on green up versus
Smaller
being
home
more
ranges.
smaller home ranges, smaller
home
feeding
ranges.
areas,
Yeah.
versus being spread out across the landscape. Would you
Yep.
say that's true?
Yeah. And so to dive into some details, you're going to make me do it, aren't you?
We're here
I'm
for the
trying.
people.
So
We're going to dig it out of them.
I'm trying.
So a lot of people here would always comment when we did the last podcast, like, "Oh, you're going to deal with so much snow this year. Like, it's going to be a very tough hunt." I was very excited about the snowpack levels being as high as they were across the entire West. What that is going to do is force bears to be lower on the mountain right now. They're going to be lower, which means we don't have to go kill ourselves as often to try to go hike up in somebody's nastier country that's way high up on a mountain range. We
I
can
don't know.
kinda-
I'm looking at the back of your hands and your arms.
Oh yeah.
So I know. We'll get into that. I noticed
Anyway.
that too. I had to ask what it was.
Yeah. So the bears are going to be a little bit lower potentially because that snowpack's going to be so high. They don't need to be up in the snow. We did see some bears walking around in the snow.
Yeah.
For sure, but there was like green areas around.
That's
some
where the
other
big
trees.
ones hang out, up in the snow.
Up in the snow. Those freaking
Polar
bears.
bears.
Will they bed in like you watch those like Billy Moles, is that right?
Yeah,
That's his
Billy
name?
Moles, some of those brown bears.
When those big grizz will just lay in the snowpack, the
Yeah,
black bears do the same
I've
thing.
watched them slide down little snow
Really?
things, like playing around.
That's-
You get some cubs,
yeah.
they'll play around in the snow. But like right now, I was really excited about the snowpack because the bears are going to be lower, which means I don't have to go as high. It's going to concentrate them down more, so I can hunt more potential bears rather than them being spread out and all over the place.
Gotcha.
But again, that could throw me another curve. Like the snowpack, I might not be able to access some of these places, or we got up top where I wanted to go a couple times, and there was just snow everywhere. I was like, wow, this hasn't melted off yet. Like, we're not going to find bears. We're just going to use this as an observation point and scan all the country, trying to figure out that elevation where these bears are at right now in that hunt based on this season I was in.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb real quick though too and say like try to get into your brain and see if I'm right here, Brady. But like I would also think that if you did run into any of those logistics issues, right? Snowpack, can't get into to the backside of a mountain, whatever it is. I have a feeling you would actually be more motivated to just kill yourself to get through that.
You still
Because
would, yes.
you'd be away from
away from
everything,
everyone. That's going to be a
everyone.
barrier of entry. And
Yeah.
that's what also what snowpack brings.
So like you mentally, you never thought you were truly locked out of anything.
No.
Yeah. So it's like that's the Brady Miller mindset right there.
Mindset.
I'm going to go where I need to go to be successful.
Yeah, I think one spot where that showed where we were willing to go like that extra mile to get somewhere where no one was ever going to like be that time frame that we were there was the snow would affect the river crossings, and some of those river crossings that we did were deep. And
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, literally, the last river crossing that we did, trying to get when we were hauling out all the meat, it was maybe like 6 o'clock or whatever, and we're heading down to the trailhead, and I like had all the hide and all the meat in my pack, and Brady literally like had to wait in the deepest part to like help me get through because I literally thought I was like going in like, and I thought I was gonna go for a swim, and we had to do that river crossing the whole time 4 times, but that day 3 times, just going back and forth, camp, empty, and then meat.
And that's where I'm like a cheat code. Like they used to call me a genetically engineered fisheries biologist when I did fisheries work because my legs are so long, so I can cross streams that other people have a.
Did you ever piggyback on Brady's back?
I was thinking about
On
it.
a stream crossing?
I was thinking about just packing
Like, get
into
on his shoulders?
pack.
So this brings up a good point too, because yes, we had some stream crossings, and we did not have a little raft. We did not have hip waders, even though I have some at home. Did not bring them. So the thought though, for safety, like if you're going to go and know you have some stream crossings, what's going to happen that first day? First day, it might be cooler out. As those days go on, that hunt,
Yeah, it's going
it's
to get higher.
getting
Oh,
hotter.
yeah.
So every single day it becomes more dangerous when you have to turn around and come out of there. You have to think about that as well. You could get stuck somewhere. You legit could get stuck and not be able to cross something and have to try to find a log that's long enough across a river or a creek, whatever it may be. And so like that first day when we crossed the river, he was legit, like he got held up right in the middle, and I was like, this is the lowest I'll ever be. Even said, I think on camera,
Yeah.
like every day it's going to get worse. So if you can't cross that now,
Yeah.
we're going to have to start making some decisions of how we're going to get across these places to go kill some of these bears.
Yeah, it's funny because like the first one we did on that deep one, we crossed it, and like I was like just thrilled. I was like, whew, got that done. Like that's out the way. don't got to worry about that for a while.
You had that first day just pumped.
Yeah, I was hyped. And then Brady's like, I can't remember exactly what he said quote by quote, but he was like, that's the lowest it's going to be like throughout the time we're here. I'm like, and mentally like that was in my head. Like for a couple of days, I was like, crap, like this is going to be just worse the next times. And every single time we had to cross that river, it was just in my, like I had headphones in and I was like listening to like Bone Thugs and Harmony, like trying to pump myself up for this river crossing.
He's listening to house music back there.
I turned around and I was like, dude, is that Brian Cole?
I had my headphones in. He was jealous.
Do you hike with headphones usually? I never do.
I never do. But I hunted with Brian before. He was wearing headphones and I was like, dude, what's up with that? And he's like, dude, it just zones you out. And he describes himself too as like that diesel engine.
Yeah.
That like, I'm going to go the same speed, whatever it is. I don't care how heavy my pack is. I'm a diesel engine. As long as I'm moving, I'm good. And those headphones just help him just zone out and keep going. And so that's what Omar.
And that's like, just going point A to point B. You throw in the headphones.
Yep. Yeah.
Until that grizzly comes around the corner, you can't hear.
Yeah, I've never done
chopping
that.
at teeth. But
yeah, I've never hiked with headphones, listening to music ever.
That was my first time. And like they were just like in my truck. It's the wired headphones. Like they were like in my truck, and I was getting ready to move all my stuff over to Brady's truck. And then I was like, you know what? These are gonna make the trip. So I threw them in there, and then on the hike in, I had those running, and then like I only used them really for like Netflix at night when I was just watching my own stuff. And then
true millennial, watching movies at night in the backcountry, just can't get away.
Well, we're gonna get into a good tip on that.
Yeah,
like, it's a game changer.
Oh yeah, we have a good tip for that. And then just it was honestly a game changer on the last day where we had to just move everything. Like I don't know, I'm a big music guy. Like anytime I run or anything, like I got music in. I know.
And Bone Thugs is the go-to.
Bone Thugs was the
Busy
go-to.
Bone, Crazy all the Bone, all the Bone Thugs.
Got to listen to that. And there was one time where we were going and Brady like had stopped to like do something with his pack, and like I was just I don't even think I said anything to you, and I just like literally just went across because I was like, if I lose my train of thought right now, I got the motivation going. Like it's like, you know, it's like Lorenzo, it's like you doing heavy weight or something where it's like, nope, just gonna do it. Like just gonna send like your spotter's not even there, just like I'm in. Like
yeah.
And I was just like, all right, I got to go cross it right now. So I did that and then made it across, and that. The river crossing was something else.
Another thing I'll bring up too on the river crossings, you have to kind of consider too, like in those mornings, it's always going to be the safest to cross.
Yeah.
As you get through that day, when it gets warmer and warmer, it's going to get a little more sketchy. So if you can just time it where you hit it in the morning, and then maybe you have a really late pack out coming back to camp, you might be safe again because that water's going to start going back down a little bit. But mornings are usually going to be your safest bet to get across some things.
It's a different set of scenarios, isn't it, that you may not face in the fall or think about. I mean, as I'm listening to you talk, it sounds to me like pre-hunt planning, prep, e-scouting is probably more imperative for bear hunting than it is for, deer or elk in the fall even.
That's what's really good too. Like turn on roads and trails, literally dive into your place you're going to go. And if you have a river crossing, you should probably look at that and make sure, is there a bridge there? Is there a natural means I can cross? Or am I going to legit have to bring some little hip waders or change out of my boots and put Crocs on? Or is it small? Like most time in the spring right now, everything's going to be blown out. And so that definitely has to become a consideration, because you might have all that e-scouting plan, that spot you want to get back to, but you hit there the first day and you realize, wow, we can't even get back there. What do we do now?
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's always beneficial to have backup plans.
Gotcha.
Even on this hunt, if we couldn't get where we wanted to do, I had a million other backup plans where we were going to go and try to find other bears in other places. Again, because I hadn't been there before. I hadn't actually stepped foot. I've just stared at it on my computer in 3D.
Did he let you know where you were going before you left?
Yeah, he was nice enough to do
He did?
that. Yeah.
Wow. It took a while though.
Wow.
It was maybe like the last hour.
On the drive up?
So listen, here's where we're going actually.
We had a lot of
at this point you can now take your headband off there, take your eye covers off, and you can look at your own map.
Yeah, I think he let me know, I don't know, like a week or two ahead. Yeah. And I just did like some mostly just to download offline maps and everything, because I knew going in, Brady was going to have it pretty locked down. And I had like some little spots picked out, and we went through like a little game plan and did that the first couple of days. But
did you ever during this hunt just be like, hey, Brady, do you know I got this spot I've been looking at?
No.
I know that you've got your thing, but have you thought about this?
He was, I will say, like, Brady was like, what do you think? Like, if we're at a spot, like glassing something, he'd be like, what do you think? Like, what do you think we should do? So like, I like in the back of my head, I was like, oh, that's nice. Brady actually cares about what I'm thinking right now. And he's not like, we're just going to my spots.
Yeah.
But again, though, too, like we talked about in the previous podcast, though, like you're basically like acting like a sponge and like soaking up everything. So like the thought of asking you questions a lot of times was to have you do a thought process. So if you were there by yourself, how would you react to the situations as well?
Right.
So like I want to immerse you in the hunt. I don't just want to be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go out there and you're listening to everything I say like I'm some dictator, which is not the way it should be. We're hunting partner.
Yeah.
You need to both
It's a
have
mountain
plan
leader.
together.
Did you give him multiple choice questions in this scenario? Would you?
I did dive
Wrong.
I did dive in and like when we were doing stuff, I was like, all right, do you have all location services turned off on your phone? All your photos, do they have location services turned on? We need to make sure this is locked down tight. I don't want you texting somebody
Some girl.
somewhere.
Some girl.
He forwards that picture on, and all of a sudden they can pull some GPS coordinates of exactly where we're hunting.
Honestly, it is a big deal though. Like there's a lot of spots that have been blown up over the years because of something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I play it safe. I don't have any of my locations on or nothing. The only person who like truly ever had my location is probably my mom, and she does not hunt at all.
He even pulled up his inReach once, and I like glanced over. You know, like someone's on their phone or whatever, and you like kind of see what they're doing. And I kind of took note. I was like, oh, he's on his inReach. I looked over. I was like, okay, your location's turned off. That's good. He was like, what does that button do? I was like, oh, no, I shouldn't have told you. I was like, yeah, if you untap that button, that's going to show your
It'll
location.
show your coordinates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, make sure that little cross mark is always on that little icon, so we
Yeah.
do not share our location with anyone.
Yep. It was fun.
Did you guys ride up together?
Yep.
You guys never hunted together.
No.
Never hunted together.
How'd the ride up go?
What do we talk about? We talk about all sorts of random things. We're kind of this like, this
So
drive up, as you know, you're always just jacked. You have a bunch of
Yeah.
conversation, then you kind of zone out to music for a while.
Any apprehension for either one of you going on a hunt together for the first time? I know that you guys know each other at work and your offices are pretty much right next to each other, but any apprehension one way or the other?
No.
You can be honest.
I'm being honest. No.
No, you're not. I can
was,
tell. Look at your face.
That's a lie.
Come on.
I was jacked. I mean, like we just had normal conversations like the whole time. We stopped at the taxidermist to drop off the Audad and your cougar. And that was like kind of early in the ride. So like we were jacked up and everything. And then eventually like I fell asleep and next thing you know, we're sleeping outside the truck to get ready to go hunt the next day. But I mean, I was hyped the whole time going up because I knew like I was in for something like crazy. And that's exactly what happened. And I think like the coolest thing was realizing like on the mountain, I finally found someone who can match like what I want to do and then also like go over like what I want to do physically. So like that was super cool to like have someone like not limiting you back on like what you want to do. And I think not to put words in Brady's mouth, but like anything crazy that he wanted to do, I was like right behind him. I was like, all right, let's like find a way, like let's get over there. Let's get it done.
And that's, I think, one of the biggest things too. Like, I think we talked about on the other podcast about like knowing your hunting partner and being on the same level in terms of adventure. You both want to do the same thing, because if you hunt with someone, you know, if that person's not into it and maybe not in the same physical shape you are or is nervous about something, you might ask them, hey, do you think we should go over there? Should we go over there and try to kill that bear? And if they have hesitation, that hesitation could bleed onto you, and all of a sudden you might not want to go do something because that person is kind of saying, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that, or let's just not do it, let's just rest today. And all of a sudden now, 3 days later, you haven't gone and seen any bears because you're starting to hold yourself back and not going to do things. Where him and I, we wanted to do everything, no matter how far it was, no matter how late we got back to camp at night. Everything we wanted to do, we were on the same wavelength, which was really perfect. We never tried to like talk each other out of doing something. We're always like, yeah, let's go freaking try to kill that bear right now. Even though we just climbed all the way up here, we're going to drop 2,500 feet in matters of 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it took us all day to get there. Like we were gung-ho to do anything.
PMA partners, positive mental attitudes.
Yeah.
It leads to a lot of good outcomes when both partners are just PMA mindsets.
I do want to say that I don't know how, so we got finally to where we wanted to hunt. And so we slept that morning, 3 hours?
Mm-hmm.
So you got there late.
Super late.
Super
Drove all
late,
night.
pulled in. You drive all day?
All night.
All day.
All through
So
the night.
while Omar slept.
Yeah,
I only slept for like 3 hours. All right.
Millennial.
I was a good hunting partner.
I love that you brought up the drive though. Because
Yeah.
like new hunting partners, they hadn't hunted together. They haven't spent, like real intimate personal time together. I know you're a personal time kind of guy.
I'm just projecting my own awkwardness
Me too.
onto this
Me
conversation.
too.
For me, driving 8 hours or wherever with some guy I've never hunted with, that's like, oh God.
I couldn't agree more. And that's why I loved you asked the question and went right over both of their heads. But me internally, I'm like, yep, that's immediately where my mind would go. It's like, man, 8-12 hours in a car, like that's my personal time kind of a thing.
You and I are the type of people that are, before that even happens, we're in our own heads about it. Like, what's that drive going to be like?
100%.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like, what am I going to
And, look, just being honest, but like him and I are going hunting, I'm probably going to drive alone. Like, that's what I do. It's like when you and I hunt, we just drove.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, yeah,
That's
just
what's
meet
great.
you.
It was like a mutual understanding.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll meet you at the trail.
I'll meet you there. Like, you get your time, I'll get my time.
Yeah.
We're good to go.
Yeah, we're both okay with it. But
Yeah, it's just-
it's different. But yeah, I was curious.
Do you ever worry about awkward silences when you're riding with someone
Yes.
for long periods of time? Like you want to talk the whole time?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm like, man,
I don't ever want to talk the whole time of
Me either.
any time ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm like a talker. I'll just like talk and talk and talk.
I drive in silence a lot. Like, I'll go in and out of podcast
Yeah.
to just silence.
Me too.
And then podcast to silence.
I'm a good like reader though of like the vibe of the car vibe. Like
Yeah.
if I'm reading that like someone's tired and like they don't want to talk, I won't talk. If I'm reading that like Brady wants to talk and he's got something on his mind, I just jump in and I'm all here and like, all right, like I feel like I'm a little car counselor, like on the way up or on the
Yeah.
way down. And I even like stood up. I stood up literally the whole way down where I could have gone to bed at 10 o'clock while Brady was driving. But I was like, you know what? We're long road truckers right now. We're going to truck through this thing right now. And I got to stay up for my co-pilot, I can't leave him hanging.
I can't tell him trucking's in my blood because my family are
It
truck
is in your
drivers.
blood.
So I'm
You
like,
kind of look like a long haul trucker.
So I'm like, I can handle
It
it.
is legitimately in his blood, though. That's his family.
that's
That's what they
right.
do.
Yeah, no, I see what you're
Like,
saying.
he's-
Yeah.
It's in my blood. So
He
the only
comes
time,
by it honestly.
the only time I had Omar drive is I needed to do a bunch of work beforehand. So I was like hotspotting my phone and my laptop. So from Vegas, part way up, I was working, and then
Partway down.
the rest of the way,
Brady does that. You go on hunts with Brady. Brady's like over there on his computer working along.
Yeah.
Bro, I have always said that no one works like Brady on a hunt.
You have to try to-
It's
you have to-
unbelievable.
Content never rests.
I mean, unless you're on a hunt, for me, it kind of
And
rests.
me too. Like, just
little
don't
bit.
talk to me. I don't want to talk.
It kind of rests.
But what I thought was funny though, we finally got to where we're at. Like, all right, we're gonna sleep for 3 hours, and I brought specifically. I was like, okay, we're gonna bring an extra sleeping bag because everything's all packed already.
Yep.
Our full backpacks are loaded, so I don't want to dig down in my backpack, pull a sleeping bag. I had an extra one of those roll up pads, the old foam ones we all used to use
Yep.
that are just horrible. I pulled that sucker out, just laying on the ground outside the truck. I'm like, Omar, what are you gonna do? He's like, I'm just gonna sleep in the truck. He literally slept in the front seat, didn't even fold up my center console thing, and slept in the passenger seat for 3 hours. Well, I'm out there just laying down and getting perfect
you actually
It's
sleep?
cool out.
Oh yeah. I knocked out.
You can sleep in a truck like that?
Yeah. I haven't been hunting for that long, but like that's always been like my thing. Like if I go somewhere and it's late and I don't want to hike in the dark, I'll just sleep in like the front seat of my car. And I don't know. I think it's just because I've been doing that I
Scared
could
of
do
getting
it.
kidnapped?
No.
Scared of the dark?
I'm not scared of the dark.
There's
The
something
hills
there.
have eyes kind of shit, or what's
There's
going on
something
in your
there, 'cause
mind?
there's-
There's just a sanctuary in your truck.
I
where it's
know.
No
It's-
creepy crawlies tonight. Like it's just super easy. Like
No.
so whenever I get somewhere, and I feel like I'm pretty like I'm not small, but I'm kind of like limber and stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I could honestly sleep anywhere.
We'll revisit this in 5 or 10 years.
I agree.
You got a bunch of them under your belt. I guarantee you're not sleeping in the front seat of your truck.
Well, now
I
I
got a truck cot. You just keep a cot in your truck no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. Well, now I got in my Tundra, I got the what is that? The cab over, whatever it's called in the back.
Hold on, let's not talk about his truck, okay? Literally, we're 24 hours from leaving. We're planning on taking his truck up the whole time. Magically, his truck starts not working. Magically,
It's not
24
magic.
hours beforehand.
Fuel pump.
Yeah,
Went
it
out.
just
Sorry,
went out, man.
sorry, man.
Went
We
out.
got to take your truck, Brady.
I got a
Oh my
bad
God.
tire. Sorry,
Radiator
Brady.
is leaking.
By the way, my debit card and bank account, like I can't pay for fuel either. Like, we'll just,
No, I was not.
I get flagged for out of state
yeah,
charges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my card on the way up and couldn't pay for anything.
Man.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And for a while, he couldn't find his hunting license.
Oh, man.
He's like tearing apart the entire truck trying to
That's
find his hunting
actually true.
license.
That
Well,
part is.
We got to Brady's house where I was unloading everything into his truck and everything was all loaded. for every reason, like I was like, I gotta just make sure my hunt. It's like checking your passport. Like if you're at the airport, it's like maybe like the worst spot to finally check for it, but I'm gonna check my passport at the airport. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna check if I have my hunting license in my pack. And I actually moved it from where I like normally store. I normally like just put it in a top lid and like it just stays there. And I put it into my kill kit this time. And I was freaking out because it wasn't in my top lid. So I was like tearing through everything. Brady's like loading the truck up. And then I finally get to like the game bag, which was at the bottom of the pack because it's the game bag, kill kit, everything. The kill kit, sorry. And then it was in there. And then, but Brady, like I could tell he's like, oh gosh, like this guy almost forgot his hunting license, whatever. What else is going to happen on this trip?
But this is what this comes with experience though, because now you're going to realize where you keep your gear every single time. Like you have a home for your gear, you know, okay, your kill kit's in this section of your pack, you pack it in the middle of the backpack or you use your top lid. Or like me, I throw my tags in my bino harness.
Yeah, that's where I put my tags in my bino harness every time.
Yeah,
really?
So like
Every
eventually
time.
you'll just know where things are at and it becomes easier. It becomes like second nature. Like, oh yeah, I know it's there because...
Well, I changed my pack setup, not to make like a excuse, but I changed my pack setup this year. So there was always like this one spot in my pack that I used to have where I would put it. And then having a new pack, I was like, well, I got to choose a new spot. And so like that kind of had me thrown off. But
Again, but you're doing that right now on a spring bear hunt, figuring out all those different nuance type things for hunts in the future.
And you did it before you left. You didn't do it at the trailhead.
yeah, exactly.
That's always good. That's always
Could
good.
have been worse. Always could be worse.
Yeah.
So you pull up the trailhead, you get up that morning, 3 hours of sleep.
3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, let's go day by day now.
Yeah, let's go day
Hour
by
hour
day.
day.
Yeah.
So we started talking a little bit about some of the river crossings on the first day. So the first day, we start going in, and of course, it's partly cloudy. Kind of looks like shit hit the fan anytime soon. Like it's getting kind of dark in the skies. Starts raining on us.
Yeah.
Of course, on the hike in.
What's the trailhead like? You got people at your trailhead? Or are you using a trailhead?
No, there's a few other people, but like it's a couple trucks. Honestly, like it wasn't a concern to me, and it still is always at my mind. You get there, you can't let yourself get discouraged with the other people at trailhead or wherever you might be parking. You don't know where they're going to be hunting.
Yeah.
And you just gotta know I have a plan. The mountains are huge. I might not see them at all. So you can't let that creep in your head right away. You don't want doubt flowing through. So keep all the negative thoughts away.
You check the plates, see where they're from?
Oh yeah.
I knew you did.
Have to.
I knew you did.
Yep. Some locals, some out-of-staters. So yeah, so we start going in and it starts raining. And we had multiple times where it starts like kind of downpouring. But it's like, I'm still hiking. All of a sudden like, let's take off and put our rain jackets on. So I'm like, let's just do rain jacket, no pants. We literally
Literally no pants.
no pants, just boxers.
It's for the heat,
Yeah.
I just had a visual of you hiking up. Because I've done the river crossing in no pants. My kids love to be like, oh yeah, you did that one Wyoming hunt where you're walking around in your underwear. They love to bring that up.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we're sitting down. We're like, all right, we should put our rain jacket on and hike. Because we literally dig everything out of our backpack. Mine's on the outside of my pack, so it's really easy to grab. And we throw it on and we start hiking for 2 minutes? Rain stops.
Yeah.
I'm like, great. We just stopped and put on a rain jacket. Now I'm sweaty again because I had the rain jacket on. It's not letting me breathe as well. So now we stop again, take the rain jacket off, start go hiking for a little bit further. And that mountain range we walked around was giant. It looked like on the map we could just, we're going to shoot here, go over to here, get around this big little loop of the mountain range and start hiking up. And we wanted to do an observation point right away. That's what my thought process was. We're just going to get somewhere high. Everyone knows I like to go high on my hunts just to use as an observation. I want to see what levels the bears are at. So now we're ditching all the rain gear off our bodies. We start hiking up this ridge, and it was pretty steep.
Yeah.
It looked like we were down below looking at it, like, we just had to get right to there. But always as the case, you start going up there, and that was not the top. And then it's another
False
section. False summit all the time. And then you get
Those
to
are
another
the
one.
worst.
How heavy is your pack?
So yours was 62.
64, I think.
Oh, yours was 64. Mine was 62.
Yeah.
How many days of food is that?
9 days.
9 full
And
days.
that's not including our rifles. So his rifle's
Gotcha,
probably
that's just
11.
pack weight.
Yeah, pack weight. And that was water included.
Oh, you got water. 3
Yep,
liters?
3 liters. Yep, 3 liters and then a 1 liter Nalgene. And then I had a 6 liter drum light.
Oh, you're packing water up.
I didn't pack the 6 liter one yet.
Gotcha.
But we did the 3 and then that because there's snow. Mm-hmm. And I could see there was snow up high. So we'll find a north facing spot where we could probably get snow.
How did Omar handle the pack?
I thought I did fine.
No issues.
No.
Do you guys have that first? I always have this. So first day I start out, I'm like you. I'm jacked. I'm super excited to be out there. I get like maybe the first mile, mile and a half, 2 miles, and I'm like, man, this pack is damn heavy. Like this is gonna suck. I hate this.
Yep.
I'm hating it. It's heavy. And then I hit a point, typically, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours in, where I'm like, I'm loosening up. And then by days 2, 3, and 4, I don't even notice it.
Mm-hmm. I get a lot too where I throw in a heavy pack, and for whatever reason, my breathing isn't correct at the time. I
do that too.
You start like breathing really hard. You're not getting your breath. You're like trying to take deep breaths for a little bit, and all of a sudden you get in a zone where now you totally forgot about it, and you're like, okay, now it feels like I'm doing a slow walk and got my breathing dialed, and all your body functions are flowing really well. Yeah, the pack always just sucks right away. It feels so heavy.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, like his rifle's like 11 pounds or something like that. He took my 6.8 Western, and I had my 300 Rum, which is 14 pounds. So like, 62 sounds really light until I throw a 14-pound rifle on the side.
Yeah.
And then
I'm like you, Trail. My mental mountain is like comes in the first half a day.
Yep.
Where I'm just like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Like this is not good. Like I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what I'm. Those first couple miles, that's in my mind, like I become a mental midget in the like first half a day. But then you start to cover some ground and you're like, okay, start to settle in. But man, the first little bit for me every time is my mental mountain. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's almost like when your focus starts to switch from like I'm just going from point A to point B to like, okay, I'm actually here to do something. It's to hunt. I'm starting to be more observational. I'm starting to look at the landscape. I'm looking for animals. I'm glassing. At that point, like I just kind of transition over it. Like I'm used to it.
I agree.
I will say like last year is the year I put more time in the summer with a weighted backpack. So I was doing 3 or 4 days a week.
is that what the cool kids call rucking?
Rucking, yeah. Mother rucking. Anyway, cut that. Just kidding. But yeah, anyway, last year I did more of that, and I will say it did help a lot. Like just throwing on a heavy pack, it felt significantly better right out the gate.
Weren't your boots recently new?
Yeah.
How recent? Like out of the box?
Like out of the box, I think I wore them on a javelina hunt.
Oh, okay, you'd worn them then.
Yep. Wore them.
What were you wearing?
The Hanwag Makakompis.
Okay.
Sweet boot.
Yeah,
That is good
you really
boot.
enjoyed
Yeah.
those boots.
I really love those boots. And I brought 2 boots that I wanted to try out, and it was kind of like a game time decision.
Did you put one on one foot and one on the other?
Yeah.
Test them out.
Test them out. And then I was like, so the other boot that I brought, I've never worn before. Like I wore it around the neighborhood with like my pack, and like, I don't know. Like I think I kind of just got into my mind where I was like, I haven't put it like through like the true mountain test. So like if I choose these boots and they destroy my feet, I'm gonna be so royally pissed that I chose that. Was like I have these other Makakompis that I've used for 3 days, and I know how they're gonna work, so I chose those.
Gotcha.
And I think a little bit of my thought process from that one podcast we did when my feet got destroyed, when Porter convinced me to wear a new pair of boots.
Yeah.
We were kind of like, yeah, you might not want to wear a new pair of boots on the hunt that we're about to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did you have a mental mountain on that first day? Knowing you were going with Brady and like you
No.
got to keep up, you know what I mean? And it's like it's Brady.
Yeah.
Like, did you have that in your head at all with this pack, the gun, the whole deal, where you're like, holy shit, how am I going to do this?
So when I threw the pack on, right, without the gun, like at home, and I was like, just threw it on, I was like, oh, this is easy. We're gonna cruise some miles. And then that 12 pounds of the rifle and everything,
Yeah.
like I was like, when we got to the trailhead and I threw it on, I was like, fuck, like.
Did you strap it to your pack, or did you carry it on your shoulder?
We strapped it to the pack.
Gotcha.
yeah, so he asked me beforehand about the Stone Glacier, was it the gunsling?
Yeah.
And I really don't. I've had it before, but like I think just strapping it on is totally fine. It's going to be more safe and secure, and we have the marsupial rifle cover on there. So like I want to protect my weapon because everyone knows when I'm out there, the weapon is everything to me.
Yep.
And so if it's secure on your backpack, it's not going to fall off your shoulder, hit something, or you know exactly where it's at. Eventually, you're going to start to like, I don't know. I always envisioned it like a bull elk. Eventually, you start to know where your antler tines are when you're walking around. You know where your gun is, so you're ducking perfectly to avoid tree branches, not smacking your gun against stuff. Like that is kind of the downside when you put on a backpack because your rifle barrel is going to sit a lot higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always that first day awkwardness. Like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
carrying your bow around. I mean, the first day of a hunt, you're like, when have I carried a bow for 10 hours in a day in my left hand? You know, there's like that first day.
Carry an
Like,
eight,
oh,
Do you carry an 8-pound weight when you're rucking just to practice?
no, but I should.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Bro, when I went hunting with Trail the first time, and he had his little finger sling for his bow.
Yeah.
I'm
He always has
Trail,
his finger sling on.
Like Trail, you're going to carry this thing for 9 hours? Like this isn't like a mile. Like we're going for 9 hours. And he's like, yeah, I'll just carry it the whole time.
Really?
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
like, I swear by the end of a hunt, my left arm is longer.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm sure it is.
I always carry it because I just think I'm so much more mobile with it. Like I can move it through the brush and the
Yeah.
trees, and I'm a freak about falling on it. Like if I put that on my pack and I'm cruising down a slope and my heels go out from underneath me and I fall on my bottom cam,
Yeah.
I'm like Brady. Like if I fall on my cam and I screw that up and I break a string, like I'm effed. That's
Yeah.
it, you know. So I'm a freak about it. But there is that like first day,
Yeah.
just like, man, my left arm is really long right now. I hate it. So
I'm gonna throw a joke in there. But
That's
I won't.
interesting. Yeah. You
I like the Office reference.
Yeah.
So
That
you
was
get to the,
what
you get
was
to the
gonna
base
be.
of this hill and you're looking up at it and it looks super steep.
Yep.
Was it as steep as you thought it was?
Oh,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was so
more
gosh darn-
so?
It was so steep, and it had already been raining a little bit. So now we're like, we're not going to put our rain gear on this time. We're just going to keep hiking. Of course, you wait 15 minutes, the weather changes.
That's the worst. On and
Yeah.
off, you're.
So right off the
I
bat,
hate
we're
that.
kind of getting wet. And then what was that one piece of gear, Omar, that you realized you did not have? And this is
Oh, I already know what it is.
This is a fault of me because I just assumed he had this
it's a
said
pack
piece of gear.
cover. No?
No.
Nope.
Oh.
One piece of gear that I didn't have.
You didn't have it on the first day that you realized would be a nice thing. And I was like, Omar, I have like 6 other pairs of these at home I could have given you. And you're like, oh, my feet are smaller than you. So
Puffy pants?
Nope. The one piece of gear you said you were definitely going to bring next time on a spring bear hunt.
Oh, now I'm forgetting.
Yeah, so you should. That's why I
Crocs.
write notes all the time.
Was it?
Boot gaiters.
Boot gators.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I just assume you're going on a spring bear hunt. You know you're going to
You're
be
carrying
freaking wet.
gators. So you have any gators?
I didn't have any
He
gators.
didn't have any gators, so his lower part of his legs were soaked all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
I need to put an order for some gators because
You just had wet feet then the whole time.
wet feet, and then I was rocking the Stone Glacier they have on the light pants. So like those were always like soaked halfway down. I should have just got some gators.
And then all the stuff is leaking into your boot. So
Yeah.
it's
That's
like
what I
your
mean. You
socks
got
are
wet
getting
feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got constantly have more wet feet. Which we did have wet feet later on when we started river crossing. But once we finally got up there, I'm like, this train's starting to look really good. We're going to take it a little bit slower now. Let's stop and do some glassing here.
How many miles in are you?
Probably 5 at this
yeah,
point.
5 or something.
Yeah. We get up on this little ridge, starts looking really good. The terrain we looked at, I was like, you always do one of those things like you start peeking up, you're like, oh, I think I said it a million times, Omar, this looks perfect.
Yeah.
I think everything I looked at, I kept saying it looked perfect, but then you sit down for a little bit, like, wow, that does not look perfect. But like right when you creep up, you're like,
This
oh, there's
time
got
it
to be a
Oh,
bear here.
something's here.
There's got to be a bear. Then we sit down for 15 minutes. I'm like, oof, that train actually sucked. Like, what were we even wasting our time glassing? But we were glassing there. And this is the funny part I want to get to. So all of a sudden we're glassing. We walk down this little finger ridge, get out this little rock pile, glass that down the bottom. We come back, grab all our stuff. We start hiking back up. We're trying to find that little flat spot.
Yep.
And so we keep looking at the map, like, yeah, we can probably camp here. You do the thing again where, I don't know if you do it. You find a spot where you want to camp. And you start like getting down at a weird angle, like looking at the slope, looking at everything. Like, if I put my teepee here, how's it going to lay? And like, no, let's go up a little bit more. And at that point, I'm like, I just want to get this freaking pack off. Like, I don't care if it's nasty. I want to get this pack off and we can deal with it. But we went up one more little bump on the ridge, decently flat. We started digging out that entire area, trying to make it so we can put our shelter there. And this is another piece of gear that we both want to do, which is what Trail's done before, the old carbon whippet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would have been great to have that little, what do you call it, ice pick thing in the back end.
Self-arrest is what they call
Yeah.
it.
So basically,
Sounds like you could have used the self-arrest.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's another part
Many
we're talking
times.
about too.
Yeah.
So we really wish we had that to dig out our spot for our shelter. 'Cause, like, we're trying to kick all these like grass mounds and boulders. We're digging out all these boulders, trying to make it flat.
Besides that, you just look like a pimp with your cane.
Yeah, big pimp
You know,
cane the
you
whole
got
time.
that
Might get
cane.
like
mountain
Yeah.
steez
That's
with
it.
you.
Mountain pimp.
I got a question for
There's
you
a
then.
T-shirt.
Do you ever get worried? you're going to stab yourself? If you,
Yeah. I've
that
thought
thought?
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I carry it like a cane.
Yeah.
You know, you just put your hand on the top of it. And like I said, I typically have something in my left hand anyway. It's not like super sharp. I mean, if you took that to the guts, it'd penetrate. You'd feel it.
yeah. So then we set up camp.
Yep.
All of a sudden, Omar's taking a bunch of his gear out, his backpack. We're kind of getting comfortable. Like, we can glass right from camp. That's another really benefit of that spot I wanted to pick out, because I knew we could kind of glass in the morning if we wanted to, glass in the evening. We could, if it was raining, we could just open up the teepee and sit in there and be dry and glass outside of it. And then we had a giant section of snowpack, little snowfield right behind our camp. So I knew if we needed more water, we could have more water. And this is the funny part. So all of a sudden, Omar's starting to take his gear out. He looks at his tripod. He's like, my gosh, my tripod leg's gone. And I know if you and I was like, I even brought you and Neville up, like,
feel
Trail
for
and
you.
Neville are the only ones I've known to lose a tripod leg, and now Omar.
It's a thing. It's an epidemic.
Yeah.
One that I was not aware of. What happened?
It's a big issue.
As we're going up, at some point, he had his tripod outside of his backpack. And at one point, he asked me, he's like, Brady, did you forget your tripod? I'm like, no, it's inside my backpack. Because I got that new 8700 giant backpack, so I could just shove it inside there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Omar's like, oh, I guarantee it. It's at that last ridge we were glassing. So I'm like, all right, I'll start, just setting up camp, staking it in, getting all the guidelines out. You go walk down that ridge a little bit further. Now you're empty, so you can walk easier and try to find it. He comes back up like 30 minutes later. He's like, no, man, I couldn't find it.
Yeah, you lose it. It just comes unscrewed while you're hiking along and just drops out the bottom.
Drops at the bottom. So then I was like, well, don't mess it up now.
Weird.
Because we can probably have Cuddy Nelson get you a replacement. And he's
I
like,
don't
I'll
know.
buy one.
I'm
And
still
I'm like,
walking around with two legs on one leg, one section.
yeah. So I was like,
It's a bipod now.
I mean, it's just a shorter tripod.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pull the bottom two legs out of the other two and just shorten the whole thing.
There you go.
So I told them, like, all right, don't mess up these threads. Like, I know Neville and Trail both messed up the threads on there, so they cannot have a replacement leg put on right now because yours are basically slick. So, like, all right, he took out some, was it electrical tape or whatever?
Electrical tape that I had on my
So he had electrical
trekking
tape and electrical tape all the threads. So for the rest of the hunt, he had missing leg. And what's funny, I'll just jump into it right now since we're talking about it. On our pack out, the first pack out we did like 3 of them, trying to pack all the gear and everything. All of a sudden I look down below and I'm like, Omar.
Found his
And
leg.
it was literally he lost in the first 2
pole.
miles.
2 miles, yeah.
So he guaranteed me, he's like, no, it was at this glassing spot. And we spent another day when we were walking down trying to find his tripod leg.
Yeah. And
lost right
then
away.
I woke up early one day and I think I did that hike like 2 times. And I was like, dang, dude, like this is a bummer. I don't have my tripod leg. And then I thought like that for sure it was gone, but we're hiking out and then Brady's like, oh, here's your tripod leg. And I'm like, damn. Well, at least I got it, but
Nice.
And he did not mess up the threads. He was able to put it on.
You should have put that in your pack and gave it to me. And
It's the same one.
yes,
Trail would've
I
came
knew
up
it
on
would be.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
T125.
Yeah.
or-
124.
That electrical
You're
tape
doing-
comes
oh,
in
you're
handy.
doing 124?
That's
It
my
does.
MacGyver of all. I make sure I have a full roll of electrical tape every time I go to the backcountry.
I wrap tape on my trekking pole. I don't know, just like the extra weight thing, but I'm like,
No.
honestly, I'm just going to start throwing a whole roll in there.
I do it every time.
A whole
Yeah.
roll of duct tape?
A whole roll of
Electrical.
just like tape.
I have an
Wait a
entire,
minute. Let's not get crazy.
I have an entire roll of electrical tape in my kill kit at all times.
Maybe we should take a bunch of gaff tape and steal it from Cody's office. Gaff tape
Yeah, we
works
should.
great.
Yeah.
Cody's over there shaking his head. Yeah. So this was day 1. Set up camp. We start glassing a little bit. We did not turn up a bear on day 1.
Did not turn up bear on
stumped.
day 1.
See
No.
any sign? Tracks?
No tracks.
Scat? No.
No. Were you concerned at all on day 1? I haven't asked you that before yet.
I wasn't concerned. Which I don't think I mentioned, I really did not like that spot that we were glassing on day 1.
Yeah, it
for
wasn't
whatever
very
reason.
good.
Yeah.
And so we wasted that evening also glassing right from camp right there.
Yep.
And it was the second night you had the debacle?
Second night I had the
So we'll get to that
debacle.
in a second. Okay, so the second day now. Omar wakes up well before I do. I was exhausted from the 3 hours of sleep. I literally told him when I was hiking in, I am so drained. Like I was just gone. Like,
He was torched.
I was torched from driving the whole way, trying to catch up on work, doing all this shit before we're getting up there. So I'm like, dude, I need to sleep. I'm not going to wake up in the morning. Like,
And hold on, I was the good hunting partner where I was like, we're hunting, it's early. I wasn't going to be like, come on, wake up, Brady, like, let's go. I was just like, all right,
good.
like, sweet. Brady's got to recover. He's got to do his thing, sleep a little, get a little shut-eye. I'm just going to sit here. There's a shitload of stuff that I could glass, so I'm going to go just glass from camp, look for my tripod leg and everything. But then he wakes up and he's like, oh, I feel great. I'm like, yes, it's the Brady Miller that I need
I
right
felt like
now.
$1 million. And Lorenzo knows I can sleep in the backcountry. That's why I jumped in.
Oh, can you sleep in the backcountry?
So I think I woke up. I wake up at 10?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I woke up at 10 in the morning. And bear hunting is usually not the best in the morning anyway. I do love to go out in the morning and check out because I have killed some bears in the morning that we've glassed up. But like Omar was great. He hopped out of the tent and did some glassing. So he was a great hunting partner. He understood that, I wasn't feeling great because my body was just torched and he went out and glassed. But the funny thing is though, as you know, I never heard him leave the tent. I all of a sudden woke up and I looked over and I'm like, he's gone. And I looked at my watch. I'm like, oh shit! It's
you,
like late in
you
the
don't
morning.
hear much when you're
I don't
sleeping.
hear anything. That's why I'm always nervous. I'm going to get attacked by a bear and I'm sleeping at night. But so the second day we woke up, glassed a little bit right there.
Yeah.
You had been glassing, so it's like, okay, let's just grab our gear. Let's go hike up this top of this ridge.
So you're just day hunting from at that point, you're using that as a base camp.
Base camp.
Yep.
Yep. Gotcha. So we started hiking up this steep ridge, and that other ridge was crazy steep. All those little scree rocks everywhere.
Steeper than the first pull?
steeper
Yeah.
than the first pull by far.
Really?
Yeah, and we had thought about maybe putting camp up there, but like I didn't want to potentially toss it up there yet. I figured we have a snowpack down here. We'll just day hunt, and yeah, it's going to suck every day to climb up that next hill. But that next hill we get on the ridge, then we can follow this ridge line way down the mountain. Then we can look at both sides. So now we can look at a south-facing slope. We can look at a north-facing slope. We can look at a bunch of finger ridges. So this is where I get into earlier about like being able to check out all the terrain. Don't just say like I'm going to hunt a south-facing slope and only glass a south-facing slope, because that's typically where green grass might grow up. I wanted to glass everything. So we start working down this ridge, and this is the day we hiked a long ways down that ridge. Like we bumped into a bunch of those elk on top.
Yep.
Those young, or I don't know if they're young bulls, but bulls that are starting to grow. Had some good velvet already on them. Start going all the way down this ridge. And it actually was a pretty decent ridge, except for some of that snow we kept having to deal with. We had to post through the snow. So again, him having gators would have been great.
Yeah.
We get all the way out on the spot finally, and we're on the wrong side of it. And all of a sudden we're like, hey, let's just shoot up top. Could we eventually got off the ridge because of the way it was easier to get off the ridge, because the ridge had a bunch of shit brush everywhere. Climb back up on top of the ridge, start sitting there glassing. And how long were we glassing for there? It was quite a while.
It was quite a bit. It was like, I want to say it was like 3-ish hours.
Yeah, so I think we finally, I saw the first bear. Yeah, it's probably 3 hours in. It might have been 6 something in the evening, probably 5:45 or whatever. But it was one of those things where we were sitting down. This is what I like to do when I'm glassing for bears a lot. Like, don't just sit down and glass. Like, be mobile. Like, I would go 20 yards to the left, 20 yards to the right, 50 yards to the right, climb up a little bit, climb down a little bit, just trying to get different angles on things. Mm-hmm. So at one point, I left my pack and stuff and just walked over with my binos. I'm just standing up next to a tree, and I looked straight down below me, and I'm like, I swear I had a bear. And I couldn't confirm it. So I'm like, I set down my binos right there, so I knew the exact spot I was standing. So on spots where it's hard to reference exactly where I was at, because I was looking through a bunch of trees. But I'm like, I swear I saw a black thing. Went over to Omar and told him. He came over. We started sitting there. I'm like, gosh, I can't find this anywhere. I'm looking all around down below me. I was like, I referenced it was straight down below to the point where I realized I might not see it if I sit down. So I kept sitting down. I was like, I couldn't see it, so I needed to stand up to glass straight down below me. Like, all right, and then we dropped down, right?
Yeah, we dropped down a little bit.
So we dropped down and tried to get a different angle again. So we dropped probably, 100 yards down the mountain.
Yeah.
And then it was shortly right after, I was like, dude, I got the bear. Got him right there. And we started looking at him for a little bit, throw some digiscope on. And, it's day 2.
How far?
Like
bear was 6.
6, yeah.
It was closer then, yeah.
Yeah.
So we looked at the bear for a while. I was like, we played the thing as we discussed earlier. If you glass the animal, it's yours. Like, I don't want to be lazy up there. Like, yeah, Omar's never killed a bear. Like, I fully want him to kill a bear, but, if I glass up a tank first, and he was okay with it, it could be my bear. So I glass the bear up first, so I can elect to either take that bear if I want to or pass it to him.
What are you packing for optics?
So I had the Zulu 6.
That's where I was jealous, because he was like moving around. And like, if I move around, I got to go take the tripod and put my binos up on the thing. But like, Brady could just like move around and glass like from his knees.
Yeah, I can glass from my knees.
6 hour Zulu 6s.
6 hour Zulu 6s are 16 power image stabilization bino. So I can stand up and glass like I'm on a tripod.
Yeah.
I can kneel. I can lean over. I can lean on a tree. I can be driving in a truck going 20 miles an hour, flip that switch, and it's like I'm on a tripod.
Yeah, we talked about this on the Cody Nelson podcast. Yeah. I'm in.
Yeah,
you're in.
Oh, I'm in.
Not. I'm slow.
I'm in.
I don't know.
They're great. They're phenomenal. I bet I could outglass a lot of people who are really good at glassing because I can pick up smaller details a little bit easier. And I can, like I said, I can stand and glass and get that angle where you are locked on that tripod.
Yeah.
Sure, he did mention that it's a little bit harder for me to grid because I can't perfectly grid on a tripod because I'm not mounted on anything. So I might be, lazily moving through things. But we got that bear, and after looking at it, I'm like, I'm not going to shoot that bear. It's totally...
Is it boar?
What?
Boar? Can you tell?
Look like it's a solo boar. No anything around it, but it was a little on the young side. It had that tight triangle face, not a really big gut on it, and it kind of looked like, when I was walking a little bit towards it, kind of had like a hump back.
Yeah.
Because it was like compact. It's not like a hump back like a grizzly or anything, but just like the way the back's shaped, it's kind of like scrunched. It's kind of like mini compact bear. So I'm like, I'm not going to shoot that bear. Do you want to shoot it, Omar? And I think you just said, yeah, if you're not going to shoot it either.
No. Yeah, we were sitting there, and you're like, yep. And I was like, nah, I'm good. So we passed up on that one.
So passed up on that bear. So that bear went away completely. He
So you're confident.
Yeah, we're already passing bears up.
So Omar's confident.
It
Never killed a big game animal.
Yeah.
Did you try to talk him into it?
No. I mentioned that I do think we can find more bears.
Yeah.
And it was early, and I knew we had a lot of time.
It was day 2.
Yeah.
So I was like, we can find some more bears. Let's just still stay here in glass. Like, that bear dropped down the mountain a little bit. We lost sight of him. So I'm like, we're still in prime conditions. It's getting good. I was telling him like after 4 o'clock, it's bear 30. Like that's the time in the evening where you start picking up some bears.
Yep.
Like it's on right now. We should pick up some more bears.
So after 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock till dark. That's
4
your
o'clock to
window
dark. Yep.
for
Yeah.
bears.
Yep.
Bear 30.
Bear 30. So we're sitting there glassing for a while, and it's
Brady's
getting
references.
Bear
Man.
30.
so it's getting a little bit later now. All of a sudden, I'm like, dude, there's a bear. And he's like, is it the same one? I'm like, no, it looks a little bigger. Like you could tell it was bigger. It was more mature. It wasn't a giant. I was saying it was that like small, medium-ish bear.
Same
like,
general area?
Same general area, but totally different bear. You could tell he had a different head on him. Different little muzzles were very similar, but I could see a little bit of color variation on the muzzle. So one of those tan muzzle, black-bodied bears. And then now I'm like, well, I glass it up again. I'm not going to shoot this bear. Like it still wasn't the caliber I'm looking for. And I turned to Omar. I'm like, what do you want to do? And I think he said something like game on.
Yeah, I was like, I'm game. I'll shoot it.
You went from passing to on it real quick.
Now we're into bears, and it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it honestly was. What I personally thought was, I thought it was significantly bigger than the first one. Like
Because they are hard to judge. They really are hard to judge unless you're seeing a lot of them.
Yeah, and then this one was like kicking up rocks, like moving through like those little pine bush trees and everything. And then yeah, you were like, I'm passing. I was like, well, I'm game. Like I'll shoot it. So we got set up and.
It's within range?
The great thing was it was already in range. It was, we'll talk prefaces right now, it was on the outskirts of what I wanted him to shoot, distance-wise. Like we've been practicing a lot, and practicing on the range is totally different. Like that's why we talked on the other podcast, like this whole spring has been me training him on using a rifle, proper, trigger pressure, shoulder behind the rifle, everything's square, everything's dialed. But as you get into a mountain situation, as you found out, you're not laying flat anymore. We're not just laying on a shooting bag, perfect conditions, perfect wind. Now we have to deal with a lot of environmentals. And it was steep angle.
Yeah.
His body was laying, going downhill. It's really steep. The cool part was, though, we had a lot of digiscope of the bear. And it was, like you said, the bear was just over there kicking up rocks. So it was like, so cool, like watching a bear.
Yeah.
And you watch him, and you're like, dude, that's a big boulder he's going over. He just grabs that thing, picks that boulder up, goes down there for whatever grubs or whatever behind there. Like, they're so cool to watch, addicting.
Yeah.
So we're getting set up. I bust out my Kestrel. I get the wind. I'm like, all right, dial this in the scope. Make sure, like, both our rangefinders are synced together. He had that new, the new Vortex ballistic one.
Yeah, the 4000.
Yeah, 4000. And I had my SIG 8K. But they're both, I made sure they're synced up. So I'm like, all right, you range with yours, because I know I fully trust mine. That was a brand new rangefinder to me, so I didn't have a lot of time behind it. Range yours as well. Does it get the same? Yes, it got the same as mine. So I'm like, all right, dial to that. Give me, I don't know what it was. I think I said 3/4 left for wind.
Something like I can't remember.
So you got time, though.
We had a lot of time. That's the nice thing about a bear. If he's on that hillside and you don't have other people around, like, and the terrain too always can dictate as well, because I just knew there's openings all over the place. So the bear goes behind a set of trees. He's going to come out again. Hopefully it comes out to the left or the right and doesn't go higher, so it's further distance. We got some time. But like, get set up. And the downside of what we did is we should have dropped down and cut the distance. I didn't fully know down below there was like a little bit of a saddle on some rocks where it would have enabled him to lay down again. We would have cut, I think it was 120 yards off.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a lot.
So we're setting up there, and I think the shot was 680, 670.
Yeah.
So it's
poke.
It's a poke. But we did a lot of practice. I trusted him on this, and we're gonna take the shot right now, and he felt confident. But we should have dropped down to that elevation, because again, I think it was mainly his. Don't take this the wrong way. The lack of experience of hunting in a mountain situation and knowing your body conditions, knowing how your feet are going to kick out. Like, you've never done that before. And we should have dropped down, because that would have been a flat spot to shoot. His body would have been perfectly flat. Yes, it would have cut 120 yards off and would have been able to take that bear a lot easier. So you got on the gun.
Yeah, I got on the gun, and like, I got behind the gun and everything, and I truly felt comfortable. But like, this was like my first time ever having I was inches away from killing an animal. So like, I'm like, Brady's cool. Like, he's been in these situations a million times before. And like, I'm shaking. I'm like, oh my gosh, adrenaline.
You're pretty nervous?
I'm pretty nervous. Like, adrenaline's going. Like, I wasn't freaking out. I was trying to stay cool and everything. But I was like, in my head, I was like, there's only this small opportunity window. I was starting to freak myself out.
That's when you needed Bone Thugs.
That's when,
and AirPods.
And I get set up behind, and I'm like, this is where I messed up royally too, was I didn't even throw in earplugs for the shot. And Yeah, I didn't throw in earplugs for the shot or nothing. Like got set up, felt comfortable. Take the shot, miss high.
And I want to correct you. I'm looking at my notes right now, and you can see I got proof. I'm looking at my notes. It was 580. I think I said
okay.
I said 680 at first, but it was 580.
Yeah.
So 580, I was a lot more comfortable. 680 would have been totally out the window.
Yeah, but
580.
then you reference that with being able to cut 120 yards.
Yeah.
120 yards would have been.
If you
Would
would
have
have known,
wheelhouse.
but
I
I
can
mean,
make
shit, you
that
don't
shot.
always know.
Trill can make that with his bow. That's how you shoot that iron buck.
Yeah, miss high on that bear.
Flat miss it.
Flat miss it. Yeah, and then
And does it just, it's gone?
That's the funny thing. No, it goes maybe 30 yards to the left and
Yeah.
starts flipping rocks again.
How bad of a miss?
6 inches high, maybe.
yeah,
Good left or right?
Good
Yep.
left to right, perfect left to right. And so this is the hard part too for me.
Yeah, you're
'Cause-
trying to gauge whether
Because
it was
was it the was it the
turret
gun? Was it
thing
the
or-
dope?
yeah,
was
to
it
pull it?
dope or was it him who pulled it?
yeah.
And I've seen that little nasty trigger finger
pulled
and
it.
thumb. So I'm assuming he did
He
it.
jerked it.
Jerked
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So
Trail,
I'm like,
don't you know you're supposed to press the trigger?
Oh, I
trigger.
know. I'm well versed now in pressing triggers. Even though,
So then the bear just starts flipping rocks again. So I'm like, all right, get back on the bear. He's still right there. Figure out your bipod, ensure your gun's level again. Like maybe his gun was.
at that point, did you think maybe we need to get closer?
I didn't know that thing was down there. like
Sure,
a little
you only
ridge,
know
but-
what you know,
But we probably should have. We
Yeah.
should have said it was nothing. But he took another shot. It was actually closer. It was 570. He was 10 yards closer, which isn't a lot, but took
Yes.
another shot and literally hit the same spot high.
yep.
How was your adrenaline just rolling at this point, or were you able to still get calm enough? You felt like to take that second shot.
No, I honestly, adrenaline was rolling. I was like downhill and everything, but I still, whenever I pulled that trigger and that bear was in my scope, I thought that was a dead bear every single time. I was like, all right, he's gonna go down right here. So I I wasn't in the best, most comfortable situation ever, but I was confident the whole time that I was gonna kill this animal when I pulled the trigger, and that happened 3 times.
So you missed 3 times?
Missed 3 times.
So, and then the second shot, the bear starts moving around a little bit, starts going uphill, but not still flipping rocks again. Like the bear didn't know anything that happened. Probably because he's shooting a little tiny gun.
Yeah, right.
A pea
Little baby
shooter?
gun.
I'm just joking.
Little rabbit gun.
Maybe
You
not.
shot a Nerf gun at him. He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, whatever.
good.
So yeah, then he did that third shot, and this time the elevation was perfect. He didn't jerk it that way, but he jerked it to the front of the bear and
Miss left.
just missed left.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to that gunworks shooting school, on the angles like that, the one thing I really learned and what I had a horrible habit of is how you magnify the parallax in the crosshairs
Yeah.
if you angle down or up. And I never paid attention to that. So when I went to that gunworks school, I'm like, holy shit, man, this is a big deal. Like, it completely changed my angle shooting. Because if you're looking through the scope down at an angle, optic, or up at an angle, it changes that parallax of the crosshairs.
Right.
So it actually fix your parallax on the left side. That was a huge thing for me in my mind. I had no clue about, learned it at that
Yep.
school. And I would imagine that's probably what a lot of it was, other than you pulling the trigger. Brady mentioned your
Yeah.
finger was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty
So that
finger.
was, you're at a highest of highs, and now you're just the lowest of lows. Like I did the same thing on the Aoudad hunt when I missed that one because I was rushing it, and I was like, I got to put the camera in front of you. He's like, no, you're not going to put the camera in front of me right now. I'm like, I need to hear your thoughts. And it's like one of those hard moments to because to him it could be over. He was like, I wonder if I'm going to get another opportunity,
Yeah.
even though it's day 2. But it's like that thought creeps in your head, like,
Yeah.
what if this is just a perfect situation and now you blew it?
Yeah, and then I quickly kind of went into just well, that sucked. Like I could have killed a bear right here, but thinking higher, I was like, well, I know this bear's not wounded. He's not. We saw him run away. We could see every shot on the digiscope. So then I kind of quickly went to I tend to get over things with comedy. So I was like, oh sweet, good thing I didn't kill that bear, else we would have had a shit day pack out where we had it was getting late, so we would have been at camp 4 a.m. So
It would have been a gnarly pack out
Yeah.
with that bear.
So I was like, sweet, didn't kill a bear. He's not wounded. We're not suffering right now. We just got to go back to camp and we'll find other bears. But part of me did go to bed that day, and I was kind of bummed out that, hey, that could have been the only opportunity I get on this hunt. So it was still early and everything, but just kind of being new to hunting, I don't know how many opportunities we were going to have. So that's kind of one thing that was keeping my mind. But you know, and I think the following day too was mostly just moving camp. So I was like, dang, like another day burned and no bear dead, and we got, you know, some tags to fill. So that kind of crept into it, and I was like, then a couple days later, I was like, shoot, I could have like been tagged out right now and had a bear, but
we should
trucking.
We should jump into now the night hike back to camp. And that's where these scars come into play.
Oh yeah.
Did this take you guys through dark? Like, this bear debacle?
Yeah, because we watched the bear for a while. I watched him, you know, start to feed up the mountain. He was like kind of now like knew something was up. So every now and then he'd run around and get calm again and start flipping rocks. Eventually just worked out of our life. And then that's when we looked down and Omar's like, I should have went down that bottom. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that was right there, that flat spot. Could have cut the distance. So now it's completely dark. We last there till dark. Start hiking all the way back. It's pitch black now. We're in our headlamps. And we get just to the top of the ridge. Like I said, it's super steep country with all that shale rock. And you can't see the shelter down below, but you know it's right down on that ridge. You can kind of see the glow of the white snowpack behind the shelter. So we're talking about like, hey, could people hang in the backcountry in the spot? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if this person could. This person might be able to. Like, we start like.
Do you want to name them?
Yeah, name them.
It was we're talking about Chris Porter.
Just solely that, or did you guys come up with anybody else?
No, just solely that. It was like, could Porter hang right now? I'm like, he's really determined and he could do it.
Yeah.
But I think eventually it would probably wear on him because of like, it is just straight nasty. And like, so we're kind of talking back and forth. And right then I do the thing where I step forward and one of my legs kicks out a rock, and my other foot then steps right on, and we're going straight down. Like straight it's nasty.
Down. Yeah.
And I tumble, take a forward fall. And I thought I caught myself, and all of a sudden I rolled like 3 more times, like down the mountain. And
to see the spider monkey himself do that, that's one of a kind right there. That's an experience that none of us have other than you, Omar.
And I looked over to Omar, and I was like, I have never done that before in my life. Like taking a spill that hard. I had one trekking pole. Yeah, because I was using Omar's trekking pole because my Peaks ones were in the shelter.
Were they in the shelter that night?
Oh, no, might not.
Yeah, you had your Peaks ones.
Yeah, so I just had one. I usually just carry one. Yeah. And so I look at my watch, like shit, my watch is cracked. I start feeling my arms. I'm like, dude, I'm bleeding everywhere on my arm. Like got giant nasty scars on my hand. My camera's all twisted up and like facing me. My face hit my camera.
So that's from that one fall.
Just one fall. It was gnarly.
I thought you got in a fight with a raspberry bush or something.
It's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
Multiple other ones for the rest of the time. Yeah, but I got so many scars from that.
No, he came in.
Tore my shirt.
Yeah, he came in my office yesterday. He was showing me pictures. I'm like, bro, what happened?
Yeah. And
he's like, I took a spill. I'm like, wait. The man himself took a spill in the backcountry. I've never even seen him like stumble in the backcountry.
And it was literally during the conversation talking about a Porter could hang.
That's why it happened.
That's why it
Porter
happened.
sent whatever energy and was like,
exactly. That's why it happened.
Some witchcraft.
I've had a couple of those. It is a little eye-opening. I remember one time packing an elk out of Wyoming, and I was walking. It was a like single track trail, but off the one side it was really, super steep. Like if you go over the edge, you're rolling. Mm-hmm. And I remember I got a bad right ankle, and I kind of tweaked my ankle and went down. I went to one knee, and I probably had 110 pounds in my backpack, and I thought, if I go over that edge right now, like, it's probably going to kill me.
Yeah.
So there's like just stuff can happen. I mean, it can happen quick, and it's probably a good eye opener to have one of those every now and then, just to give you some perspective on how quickly things can change and put yourself in a really bad situation.
Then the thought creeps up my head though. It's day 2. I just took a tumble. My watch is cracked. My body's all scarred up. I'm bleeding. So I hit hard. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, I'm probably going to have to send my camera off to Sony Pro Support. Over there, Cody.
Took a tumble.
It's a hell of a tumble.
I just want to make sure she's dialed. Like seemed like there was some new scratch marks on it, so I might have to send my camera in to get looked at just to check it out because my baby.
I'm a pro at these tumbles, by the way. I'm built like a bowling ball, short legs, dude. This is common practice for me. I can tell you exactly what to do in those moments.
But so then the thought really creeps in my head though. I just took a nasty fall. Like I know I rolled, but I always when I fall, you try to like protect your weapon. My weapon's in my backpack, but I know I rolled to the point where I probably rolled over top of my weapon at one point.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at my rifle like, dude, did I just mess up anything? Like, that thought's in my head now. Is my rifle still true?
And Omar's rifle can't shoot, so you guys are dead.
Now you're really
you guys have got
trouble.
no rifle.
Yeah. So then, like, this is where, though, the confidence of my weapon, I always have the reference marks on my scope. I have little
Yeah.
silver Sharpie marks everywhere. So I looked at everything. Everything looked good. There was no real scratches on my gun. My gun was protected in the marsupial case that has padding on the scope. Everything looked good, but I was definitely a little nervous that I just hit my
Yeah.
girl, and she's scratched up right now.
Make it back to camp all right, though.
Made it back
We
to
were
camp.
so close. You could like.
We were very close to camp. That's
That's
the
when it
stupid
happens,
thing.
too.
When your thought
Yeah.
just leaves your head. And yeah, we get to camp, and this is where Omar's first funny experience happens of the trip. So
Oh, man.
I'm literally
First, now this is technically like the third one.
yeah. So I'm at
Missed the
camp.
bear, lose my tripod leg, missed the bear, and now we're running to the third
Yeah.
one.
So I'm at camp looking at my rifle. I'm popping off my camera lens, looking at my camera, like making sure everything's good, everything's functioning on my still photo camera. And all of a sudden, I hear some crazy noise. And at first, I'm like, if there's a bear behind us or you're getting attacked, just let me know. Because it sounded like something was going wrong. You know, I
You're
couldn't see
screaming?
him.
I was like panicking.
Explain
panicking.
Wait,
the,
wait.
yeah, explain the noises
Yeah.
you're hearing.
Like, shit, help, like, help.
Brady.
And I'm like, dude, it was kind of calm at first, but I'm like, if something's going wrong, let me know, because I couldn't see him. I literally thought there might have been a bear or something.
You're
like
at
that.
camp?
At
Yeah.
camp.
You're in the tent.
I'm outside of it looking at my camera. Like, I
You're
have my
in the
lens
tent.
off.
I'm outside.
He's
Okay.
outside, but very close to the
You can't
tent.
see
like,
him.
rain flies open.
Okay.
I can't see him.
All right.
All of a sudden, I look over, and there's just a giant flame ball. Like, 2 foot flames.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3 foot flames.
Coming from where?
My jet boil.
His jet boil. He's like, help me put this out. And he's like, chucks on the ground, tries to kick dirt on it. It still flames everywhere. He's like, is this thing going to blow up in my face? I'm
Yeah,
like,
because I have it in my hand. It's
yeah,
like
his
just
hand, there's
giant
flames
flames.
everywhere.
It's
And he
gonna
throws
blow
on the
my
ground,
face.
and there's still flames everywhere. Like,
Wait.
flames everywhere.
On the Sam L.
Yeah.
So
What
I'm just-
happened?
I'm just sitting here laughing. I'm like, go grab some freaking snow. So we walk over, grab a bunch of snow, start throwing it on. It's still this flaming. It's still
Yeah.
this melting all the snow you dump on it. So I'm like, let's get this thing out. He's like, it's going to blow up. And I'm like,
Like a jet boil flash?
Yeah, I have a jet boil flash, and I was blaming on the MSR cans. I was like, these things are not compatible with the jet boil flash. Like, that's why I
No.
had this
Nope.
accident. But I just didn't have it screwed on tight enough. So when I
Oh, you had fuel coming
out of the
outside
canister,
the edge.
and
It wasn't sealed.
and I
Yep.
think it's like, if you rotate those a little bit, like tip them to the
Yeah.
side, they'll like start leaking and going everywhere. So I think it might have been he maybe didn't have it screwed in as well. And then he
Yeah.
tipped it and there was fuel going everywhere. So it was just lighting. There was, like I said, a giant flame ball.
It was like a 2-foot flame.
yeah,
And
No,
so now,
no kidding.
yeah.
So that torched your jet boil, I'm assuming.
you
But I had
dented it up.
2.
So
Yeah,
here, but here, no, here's you have two
Two
jets-
canisters.
yeah, 2 cans. So here's the
Oh.
here's the thing I'm like nervous about. I only bring 1 can because I
Yeah.
know I can last the whole time
Sure.
on one. He brought 2, luckily, but I didn't know that. So now I'm thinking, shit, we're gonna have to go off my fuel the rest of the hunt because he burned almost his whole fuel can. Like, you might have got
I got like,
half a boil.
yeah. If
It went through a whole can.
went through
then.
Do you know
Whole can.
what happened?
Is it a 4
Not
ounce can?
fully.
Yeah.
The little guy?
The
Yeah.
little tiny can.
I don't think it was just screwed on tight enough. So when I went to light the jet boil, it was coming out of the little MSR can and then on the top of the jet boil, and I threw the lighter on and and I picked it up, and then I was like freaking out, and then the thought in my head came was like, this shit's gonna fucking blow up my face right now, and so I chucked it, and then Brady comes out and saves the day. He's like, we got to get dirt and snow on it, and eventually put it out. But then, like, this is the 3rd debacle, and I'm like,
And by the way, only day 2.
Yeah.
only day 2, early in the hunt. Brady probably thinks, like, now I have a liability on my hand with this guy.
So every time he
Yeah, man, I don't want to make you feel bad, but this is the first time I've ever heard of that happening in my whole life. I've
no
never
joke,
heard of this
huge
happening.
flames. And so then it's like underneath a bunch of snow and dirt, and all of a sudden you can hear the gas just start still leaking out. So I'm like, dude, now you're just burning your fuel even more. So even after we got the flames out, it was still just dumping gas everywhere.
Yep.
So finally got it cleared off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we just lost all that fuel. And then now his jet boil won't really fit on there tight. So I'm like, the rest of the time, like, you're not allowed to light that near our tent because I don't want our tent to melt down because we need this for weather protection.
You're outside the tent. That's lucky.
Yeah,
That
he
is
was-
that is good. That is
'Cause
very good.
it burned your tent down.
We would have been
It would have burned the
toast.
tent down.
Yeah.
Legit would have. And I was like, dude, is your puppy okay? Is your grumman all right? And he's like, yeah, he actually didn't burn any of his grumman. But I was like, dude, I saw flames just everywhere around you.
You guys ever watch Naked and Afraid?
Oh yeah.
You ever seen the episodes where they're
Not for
like
the reasons
shelters?
you do though.
I'm talking.
There's a zinger.
Yeah. You guys ever seen the ones where their shelters catch on fire? You ever seen
Yeah,
any
oh,
of those
yeah.
episodes?
Yeah.
Just total just total letdown, distraught, just immediate panic.
Same
That's
thing
what
with
would have
that-
happened to you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That Alone show. It's like
Yeah.
their shelter burns down. That's it. They always just call in.
Done.
It's like completely defeated.
Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah, so that's that day.
Yeah, so that happens, and when did I tell you that I had another can? Was it that night?
It might have been the morning.
Okay, yeah, because I was like in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, I'll be fine. Like I just can't boil water anymore. Like I should probably be careful. Like this can's toast. Probably shouldn't like think about making too much coffee just strictly for meals. So I knew in my head I was fine, but like the thing I was most embarrassed about was like shit, like. Truthfully, this guy thinks I'm probably an idiot, which I did feel
He's a
like
liability now.
I did feel
Gotta
like
watch
an idiot
everything he
back
does.
there.
Gotta watch that trigger finger, and I gotta watch him lighting the stove.
Yeah.
The thing about that is like you mess that up one time, you'll never do it again.
Never do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a learning curve.
And then eventually
Yeah.
Brady did let me cook in the tent again.
He gets right back.
He let me back in.
You outside. This is for grown-ups. That's funny. So you moved camp third day?
Third day, yeah, we woke up in the morning. Instead of really glassing, we didn't really do much at all because we didn't.
Is that just because you'd missed the bear, you figure, you know what, let's look at some new country?
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where you're leaving bears to find bears. So you have that. Like, do you stay here and just trying to go glass up there, or do we go find new bears? I'm like, let's just go find new bears. I know we can find some other bears. Like,
And we've been looking at like the far away.
we were looking
country.
along country,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, that country over there looks so good. We gotta get over there. It looks money. And I had already a bunch of waypoints marked. I'm like, we gotta get over there and check it out. So we bomb off the mountain, start trying to look for a stupid tripod leg again. Of course, it's not there because it's
back at the trailhead.
Back at the trailhead. And so we get all the way down, start hiking around. All of a sudden, we have our, I think our first big river crossing that day.
Yeah. So it started raining. That time we did throw on rain gear. We made it
Yep.
down the hill, threw on the rain gear.
We were full rain gear, pants and top.
Yep. And it's raining. We're sitting under a tree having lunch, and it's still early, so I'm like jacked up. I'm like in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, what the hell are we doing under this? Like let's hike in the rain and like get all wet and stuff. But we should have because we did get.
We did get wet eventually. We didn't know how close the
Yeah.
river crossing was, how nasty it was. So we're sitting underneath the tree for a while, and I'm like, don't be worried right now that you think I'm not hunting hard, but it's like I just don't really feel like getting soaked hiking in the rain because we have a long hike ahead of us. Let's just wait it out a little bit. So finally started dying off a little bit. And then we started hiking in the rain, like whatever, we have our full rain gear on, let's just start pounding the miles. And that's where that first river crossing, where I explained to him, like, it's only gonna get nastier. Like if that was hard for you now, like let's figure out a way to, make it across. Cause I got
How
across.
deep is it?
I got across easy. What?
How deep is it?
Oh, it was
Yeah, it was probably to like my upper thigh.
upper thigh for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like at my ankle, basically.
And
Are
it's
you-
flowing fast.
Are you peeling down, taking everything off, and just crossing
Just
like?
crossing.
No.
Oh, you're
straight
just
through.
booking through boots and everything.
Yeah.
Boots,
and he
everything,
kept
rain gear,
commenting
yeah.
how fast I would go across the river. He's like, "Do you just run?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want my boots to get wet." Like that first one, I barely got my boots wet because of the gators and how I like pop my feet down, lift it up, and get it out of the water every time. So they're really not in the water that long.
Essentially
But
just
I
Jesus
trust myself
back there.
crossing though, so I know
Yeah.
I can see the boulders, so I know how to hop through the boulders and get through it. And then he got stuck halfway across, and he was like, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I got stuck halfway across, and I'm looking over at Brady. Brady's already over there, and of course Brady's got his camera like filming me. I'm like, oh, this is not what I want right now. It's like I want you to be at the standby if I go down to recover me. But I think that's one of the points where, in many of the points in the hunt, where you kind of just like you start freaking out, but then you're just like, all right, just breathe in, breathe out, and then just calm down and
Yeah.
watch what you're doing.
This was good. He didn't freak out.
Yeah.
When he knew he was like stuck in the middle of the river and it was deep, he didn't just panic. If he would have panicked in that situation, it would have been bad.
Yeah.
Like he could have got his legs swept out, and then down below us was rapids. So like he would have eventually probably got out, but it wouldn't have been fun.
So this
I don't
is-
think it would have died. But
This
it
is
would've
fourth debacle.
This is fourth debacle.
Which actually I'm going to say fifth because couldn't find your tag. This is where we started.
Now this is gonna be like
Then
a.
the tripod leg,
Yeah.
then the missed bear, then the jet boil. Now you're stuck in the river.
Now I'm stuck in the river.
Day
but like,
3, by the way.
that debacle is. I just wasn't genetically engineered like Brady,
None of us are.
It's a cheat code.
But made it across, and I was hyped. I was like so amped up. It's like that was awesome. Like, my legs are tired and everything. I don't know what I said on film, but it's like people don't want to do this shit. Like we're out here doing this. I was
Some
like,
Goggins
some
shit.
Goggins
Of
stuff.
course. Goggins Jr.
Stay
had to
hard. This is why we hit the weights. I don't know what I said on camera, but made it across, and we're hyped, and didn't make it too far where we realized we had to do another river crossing, which took, I don't know, 2-3 hours to find a safe spot.
2-3 hours to find a safe spot across. So now we're soaked already.
You're just walking up and
down, trying to find a safe spot. I go halfway across the river, and I'm like, dude, I can't make it across. If I try to, and I am having difficulty, you definitely won't be able to, just because he's shorter than I am and his legs aren't going to get washed out on him. So we're already soaked. So at this point, my boots now are just drenched. And again, I wish I would have brought my little hip waders. I have super lightweight ones. It would have helped a lot. But so we're soaked. But as we're walking up and down, I'm just thinking to myself, I even mentioned how big the country looks, and we just feel so small in this environment. And every step further we went, just felt like it was foggy. You can see the top of the mountains anymore. It's raining on. It just felt like bear country. I was like, dude, we're in bear country now. This is getting good. Even though we're struggling, we can't find a place to cross. We're going up and down trying to find a spot. All of a sudden we find this little area that doesn't quite look like we should be able to cross it. But I went partway across. I'm like, dude, I'm only at 5 more yards to go and I can cross it. And I kept going. I made it across.
Oh, I hate that feeling.
Yeah, you're like,
where you don't know that if the next foot's just going to
like
go
that.
a little deeper.
Do you not go?
Like that.
And again, I'm thinking about Omar.
Risk assessment. I hate it when you're back there on those. I mean, I'm probably freakishly the other way. I'm like, I'm just not going to test it.
Yeah.
The older I get, it feels like the more risk averse I am.
Yeah. So we wasted so much time trying to find it, and it's raining the whole time. So we have rain gear on, but our boots are soaked.
Yeah.
And what did we do right when we got across the river? You remember?
Took it
Hug.
picture.
You guys hugged.
We hugged it out.
Oh yeah, we did hug it.
I knew it.
We legit hugged it out.
The bro hug.
How long did it last?
Made it. Now we're in bear country, and anyone else who has to come up here, they might not be able to do this, and we found a spot across the river.
Yeah.
And so I marked a waypoint where we started to cross, where we ended the cross, and I took a bunch of pictures because I wanted to reference those pictures later in case the water got high, or reference it exactly so we know how to cross it.
And that's what I think
is a
is
good tip.
interesting was picking up on these things that Brady was doing. We got right across. I think if I was hunting solo, I'd get across and oh sweet, made it across, find it later. But Brady instantly made it across, did a quick bro hug, and then he dropped the waypoint. And then he took a picture. Yeah. And so because, at that point we were thinking that's the only river crossing that we could do. So we're going to have to come back here eventually. So to reference that later and everything and know where to cross. But yeah, then we were crossed and we're sweet. Now we made it into uncharted territory where
we're totally
no one's going to get here.
Uncharted, like you said. But this is where also it just got hellish. I don't even know if that's the correct word for it. It was deadfall everywhere.
To get out of that canyon now?
Now we're kind of going along the river a little bit, but it's that point of the river where it's just freaking willows.
Choked down, yeah.
How much do we love willows?
Side hill. Oh, we hate willows.
We hate willows. And you're walking through it and you step on something and you think you're stepping on it fine, but then that one's connected to another willow, then that willow slaps you in the face and you're just going through there, your rifle's getting caught up, our bipods are getting caught up or falling. We're trying to navigate through this and then we get some, not sketchy, but it was pretty hard shale stuff on the side of the river. So you're kind of sliding down, trying to climb back up again. And finally we get through all the nasty stuff. We're like, dude, we have to go back through that again later.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to have to go back through there with weight. That's not going to be fun. And that's the only crossing we know it's safe. And it's only going to get worse. That crossing might not be safe later in the week.
Yeah.
So we're out there now.
That's how hunting Kodiak is.
Yeah, that's funny you say that.
We're saying
because we were having these little jokes and I was trying to keep spirits high, morale high, and I was like, man, I didn't know we're on an Alaska bear hunt right now. And he's where's the moose at and all that stuff. So we're just having little jokes and messing around.
There's times in that type of stuff where I've had, because I don't know if it's this way for you guys, but for me, I'll be in that type of environment and it'll go and it'll go and it'll go and it'll go. And it feels like as I'm moving through that, my level of frustration is increasing. And I almost get to a boiling point where I'm going to blow up. I'm so claustrophobic from being just in this environment, and I have to I've noticed over the years doing that, that's the point. I just have to sit down, I have to take everything off, I have to just sit there, take a moment, take a breather, eat a sandwich, realize that this isn't going to last forever. I'm going to make it out. It's just going to be probably another 2 or 3 or 4 hours of suck.
Yeah.
That brings a good point. You're saying sitting down. So when we were trying to find the crossing, I was getting frustrated and I was like, dude, I just need to sit.
Yeah.
I just need to sit and really just think it out. Even though I'm probably not really thinking, I'm not fixing the situation.
Snack,
We just sat down dude, I just need to sit. Let's just eat something. And
you're fixing the mental situation,
Yeah.
though. And that's important.
Do you ever call it angry hiking?
Yo, hiking angry.
Hiking angry, yeah.
You
We
get
were
yourself
hiking
in a
angry
bad
through the
spot
woods.
hiking angry.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
when your level of frustration is rising faster than the ground you're covering. That's when you got to cut it, sit down, get it all back in check. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've definitely been there.
Yeah, it almost feels like a sense of panic. Like that's how I would explain it. I almost feel panicked. I feel
Yeah.
anxious. I feel claustrophobic. I just feel like it's going to last forever. And I don't know. I've had to learn to recognize that. And that's the point where it's like you could really mess up. You could make a big mistake. You
Yeah.
could
blow your
You could
ankle.
fall. You could blow your ankle out. It's time to just cut
Yeah.
ties. Hey, I'm going to take a break, sit down, eat a sandwich, get right with my head, and then take off.
The worst is that slap from the willow.
Oh yeah.
And it's slap. I don't get slapped in the face much often.
You don't?
No.
Really?
Come on.
You're
I'm-
definitely not married.
But that just getting slapped by a willow, there's nothing more that I hated on that hunt. Was just
The
like
ones that make your eyes water.
Yeah.
That's where you're just like, oh.
Yeah. Whoosh.
And none of them gave me a cool cut that I could take a sweet selfie with. So I was
Should
like,
have fallen on the rocks like me and get lifetime battle
Yeah,
scars.
there you go.
yeah, I did have another debacle once we got up to camp.
Oh yeah. So now now we cross. Everything's fine. We crossed all the willows. We stopped at one point and we're like, dude, we have to climb up that thing because that was also the only flat spot.
Yep.
Sure, we could have camped right there, but then we're not able to glass or see anything. So I didn't want to camp along the river.
Yeah.
And it was going to be cold down
Louder
below.
and colder.
Super
and
loud. So I want to
conversation.
get up somewhere where we might be able to glass and see some country and then access this ridgeline. So we grabbed a bunch of water. I loaded my drum dairy up, the 3 liters. My Nalgene, you did the same thing.
Yep.
Packed a bunch of water up the hill, and that was hard. But at this point, we're like, let's take our rain gear off. We're soaked already. So now you're hiking straight up mountain with soggy feet. Your feet are just sliding around in your boots. We get all the way up there. It's still raining. We finally find that flat spot, and that's, again, the benefit of terrain analysis tool. You can find those flats. This was the only really flat on a ridge line, which is a great spot to camp.
You had this picked out previously
Picked out
with
previously,
a pin?
yeah. And then so we get up there, and I'm like, all right, survival mode. We have chores to do. I'm going to pitch a tent, get the shelter up because it's raining on us. Omar, you're going to go around and start getting firewood.
Yep.
So Omar was a beast. He had my saw, and he has his foot, obviously, but he has a saw. And this is where they're a little
And
more
this
talk
is where
about.
Omar cut his finger
This
off.
is where Omar can talk about his debacle.
Now
Almost
we're on,
cut another
now we're
finger
on
off.
6th debacle.
Yeah, there's a bunch of debacles.
Okay, what happened here? There's a saw in hand. What happened?
Yeah.
There's a saw in hand. I'm sawing, and then I'm just sawing away, trying to go hard. Brady's over there pitching.
Stay hard.
he's getting warmed twice. He's getting hot from cutting that up, and we're getting hot later, and we get warmed up. So he's just going to town on his brush, trying to find everything dry.
Yeah.
This paints such a great visual.
It really does.
Omar just over there getting after it with the saw.
I saw I was sawing and cut
Oh.
my pant right here.
Yeah, he
and,
sliced through his leg.
Through your,
Sliced through there.
through your pant leg.
It had little holes, but then I also sawed in my coconut areas, and almost got there and made a little rip.
You almost cut your own nuts off.
you were-
I almost cut my 11th finger off.
oh, snap.
Yeah,
I've never heard it called that.
and I didn't say anything about it until that night. I was like, oh, I got a nasty boo boo from.
You
gotta be
tell him
bleeding pretty good.
You didn't tell him you cut your leg?
No, I was eventually.
After
I
all
was,
those debacles, I mean,
I know. Were you embarrassed at this point? Were you
Oh,
like,
that one, at that point, I was truly embarrassed. Seriously, I was man,
When you say almost, what are we talking?
no, it wasn't that close.
No nicks?
No nicks.
like your stomach dropped though? Or was
Yeah,
this,
I was just
scary?
wow, that was. I was just more pissed that I tore the crotch of my pant a little bit.
bro. So now,
Were you a Boy Scout?
No,
No, okay.
0 shot.
So this is the definition of that is going too hard. That would be the
Yeah.
definition. Yeah.
And here I am trying to do the right thing, cut some wood, have enough stuff to dry for clothes and everything, but go get another debacle going.
I like your effort.
so we get in the shelter after Omar cut a metric ton of wood, which was great. We had a bunch of small stuff, a bunch of big stuff.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended.
I get the stove going. We get that sucker again. You can say it Africa hot. We get that thing just
I love it.
boiling in there, red hot. And then finally we get enough stuff dried off. We get basically our camp, our home for the next couple.
Isn't that
rest
the
of hunt.
best? You
Rest
get a
of the
hot
hunt,
fire
yeah.
rolling, you got wet gear, and you're like, man, I can just hang that stuff up and dry it out.
Oh,
Whereas
yeah.
if you don't got that stove,
Yep.
Snacks.
Yeah,
And
we're
that's-
snacking.
And that's where I loved the
Coffee.
Peak Solitude shelter, because I took my trekking poles, put them up on top. We hung all of our gear up there. So it's right
Yeah.
next to the stovepipe.
Yeah.
Everything's drying off. Like, even though we're wet, we have to do some glassing right now. So finally the rain stopped a little bit. We went down the ridge 50 yards from
Yeah.
camp. Glassed this big face. And again, it's one of those ones we walked up there. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good bear spot. We're going to find bears. How many bears did we see?
0.
We saw 0 right there after all that. But then I'm going to go walk back down this ridge, past camp, go over there. And I'm just going to try to glass up the canyon a little bit more where we want to hunt later in the week. And of course this happens. I look all the way across where we were just camping, the mountain range, right across from our camp. There's a big old bear, big old black color face bear just standing out in the open. We could have glassed him from our previous camp and made a play on him.
Of course.
Yeah. That sucked.
Yeah, so that was that day. A lot of debacles.
That was day 3.
I think it's day 4,
One,
right?
two-
Is that day 4?
Nope, that's day 3.
Day 3. Okay.
Yeah, so 6 debacles, 3 days.
6 debacles in 3
All right.
days.
And it
but your
keeps-
spirit's got to be pretty good. I mean, given the
Seeing bears.
I mean, I was talking
Seen
to my
bears.
brother on the way down today, and he went out bear hunting in Idaho, and he's fairly new to hunting, but he was telling me, he slipped and fell a bunch of times, had bad blister. He's got one heel that's completely open, but
Really?
he's just dying to get back out.
Yeah.
Like, and he basically said, 2 days, like it took me 2 days to kind of be like, oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Like,
those struggles. when
Yeah,
you get
the
down with it,
lows
you-
are really low, and then the highs are super high. And you get on the backside of that, you got food, shelter, fire.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I feel awesome.
Yep. So now we have a phenomenal camp. Like, this is where we're going to camp the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Great location. Wake up the next day, and this is the day we decide: do we go up, or do we go straight up this ridge right behind camp, or do we start side hilling and bumping ridges and going further up this other canyon? And that night I was looking at maps, trying to figure out exactly the plan. And then in the morning, I think I asked you, and you said we should go up, and I was like, I agree, we should go up.
Mm.
So we went up, and boy, did we go up.
We went very up.
We got to above the snow line.
Well, we
Eventually.
glassed
We
for a little
glassed,
bit
yeah. We
that
stopped and
morning.
glassed.
Yeah.
So this is the cool part too. Like, I'm sitting there glassing on this big ridge. We're looking at this giant, like more open face. But I'm like, I could kind of maybe see a bear creep out of the timber and come in there. So let's glass this. I look over at Omar, and I'm like, dude, I got a cat.
Oh no,
And I'm just like,
a lion?
Brady the lion killer.
and I'm just like, I didn't buy a freaking tag this time, because like I just killed 2 lions in 6 months. So I did not buy a tag. I'm like, I've shot a lot of lions, but not glassing up. And I'm like pissed. Like,
You wanted to shoot it?
so I'm sitting there looking through the digiscope though. And I'm like,
Cat killer.
cat killer, cat killer.
it was 503 yards away, bedded
Mr.
down in the
Deeds.
Does
shade.
this have anything to do with your? No, I'm just kidding.
Boom. Shout out. No, why would I do that? No. So yeah, I'm glassing this up. I'm like, dang, Omar, I could kill this thing right now. It's 503 yards away, and I don't have a tag. So I look at it. So I started looking at it a little bit more, and I'm like, there's something off here. Like, I don't think it's a lion. It's big, but I don't think it's a lion.
Saber-tooth tiger.
Finally, yeah. Finally, I moved a little bit, and I'm like, dude, I think that might be a lynx.
What? No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I
was
got a
a-
digiscope of it.
It's got great digiscope footage of it.
Did you send a screenshot to the?
You saw lynx.
I sent a screenshot to the game warden. Up
No
there.
kidding.
And he's undecided right now. He's like, yeah, it looks a lot like a lynx.
Bobcat would.
It'd be a giant bobcat. Like, we looked
Long
at, we looked
legs?
at the other day.
I got to see this.
Yeah.
Not now, but
I'm-
later.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so I'm looking at it,
crazy.
and I was like, dude, that's freaking cool.
That is way cool.
So if it is like, it has black tipped ears, has a big tuft on the top,
Yeah.
like a lynx does, and the tail is kind of short and stocky, and there's not a lot of spots on it. But it is like, there's a lot of haze in the air from like the
Gotcha.
sun's kind of up, and it's not like a cloudy day, so it's not the best digiscope.
Mm-hmm.
But it's 503 yards away, and when it got up and started moving, I'm like, dude, that thing's a big body. That thing has giant pads. And then kind of walked up in the timber, but I was like, if
Game
that's
warden's undecided.
it's kind of undecided.
Wow.
I'm not sure if it's a
I
lynx or
can't wait
bobcat.
to see that.
But yeah, it was either way, it's a cool experience. Glassing up a bobcat or
Super
glassing up
cool.
a lynx out in the middle of nowhere. You never know what you're gonna experience.
Yeah, I've only ever seen I'm trying to think, maybe I can think of 2 for sure. I've seen bobcats, but
Yeah.
never seen a lynx.
That was my first time.
That's amazing. That's cool.
So yeah, then we continued to climb.
Yeah, and those fall summits the whole way.
Fall
up,
summits the whole way. We're
till we
climbing
got literally to the top.
to the top, and we kept getting up there. Like, should we keep going? We're like, let's just go to that next one. We get to the next one. We're like, dude, that other ridge looks way better. Let's keep going. And this is, I think, this day is when we start finally getting into the ticks.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Like,
tick mania.
when I say getting into ticks, I mean they are.
Because we dropped down, and that's when it was
Yeah.
game over. From there on,
Yeah,
ticks
oh.
everywhere.
You're really hating that you don't have gators.
Oh yeah.
Gators are
No,
good.
but I was actually joking around. I was like, "See, Brady, they all love your gators because they would just like hang out in his gators and like
They
the
kind of go
little
into the Velcro.
Yeah.
They get stuck in the Velcro a lot and try to like bury themselves in there.
Whereas in my case, I couldn't see them because they were all in my pants, you know. So that's why I wish I had some gators because they're all in my pants and crawling in my socks and burying in. And
Have you ever hunted with ticks?
no,
We
Gross.
hunted with them. We wait to see some of these photos and videos I have. And I'll get into the tick thing right now because we get it a lot, and everyone's always like, "Gosh, you have so many ticks on you. Like you're doing things not smart. You guys need to be spraying all your clothes with permethrin." It's like, well, I did. That shit. By the time you're out there actually hunting, this is not something you're day hunting, going back to your camper every night, spraying your clothes back down. That shit's gonna wear off.
Yeah.
Like all that brush, all the water, everything. Like these ticks are not just like crawling up you. I have pictures of ticks on a blade of grass. There's 13 ticks on this blade of grass, just
Tick
sitting there
nest.
with their little
Yeah.
feelers sitting out there, waiting to grab onto you or fall on you. Like they're just everywhere. Everywhere you sit, we're stopping. You look down, like, wow, I have legit 20 ticks on one leg.
Yeah.
Legit.
I don't
Oh,
hunt enough in areas
gross.
that I have a lot of ticks, and I don't spend nearly as much time as you guys that you have out in the spring. I remember when I was going to Utah State, I'd go shed hunting, and I remember like the first tick. The rest of the day was pretty well shot because that's like all I was doing
All you
was
think
looking
about.
for ticks.
Looking for
That's all I
ticks,
could
yeah.
think about.
Yep. Yep. So before I just jumped to the ticks, but when we get up on top, literally it was one of the coolest things ever where this canyon looked, we wanted to go off the backside.
yeah,
Because we kept working up, like, dude, this back little fingers, it looks like it's just gnarly, looks like it holds an old bear. But we get up the top and we look across a different direction, like, dude, this canyon looks even better. Let's just sit down and glass.
Mm-hmm.
We were glassing for what, 15, 30 seconds?
yeah.
I'm like, got a bear.
Well, you're like, Omar, how badly do you want to kill a bear?
Yeah, that's what I
and I
said.
was like, oh yes, here we go.
But then I was like,
He's too far.
look how far away it is. And I pulled up the map and it was 1.25 miles away.
Have Brady make that shot.
Big bear?
Big bear. Big
Uh-oh.
bear. So now I'm getting
Yeah.
excited. But I'm looking at it like, all right, we can make a play on the bear. Like there's a lot of ins and outs of some ridges we have to go through and some cliff areas, but we could probably make it over there. And we had enough time. There was a lot of time in the evening. It wasn't even bear 30 yet. Like we were thinking of making a plan. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, I think the bear just made a decision for us. The bear was bedded in a freaking cliff area, like just bedded in the cliffs.
So then you got to go.
Perfect condition. But then the bear made up the mind and he got up out of his bed,
Oh.
starts walking out and just goes straight up the freaking cliffs, gets up on a bench, went over the ridge.
Yep.
The Meg is done.
True giant, like Big Bear.
It was a medium to large,
Definite shooter.
definite shooter.
Even
In
for
this
you.
area. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You guys didn't kill this bear then?
Nope. That's the only time we
Guess
saw
I
him.
know where me and Lorenzo are going next week.
Yeah, here we go. Well, I don't know about the
Yep.
ticks though.
Well, see ya.
So then we're sitting there all evening, like, gosh, we just lost that bear. We start glassing the back canyon, hike up through the snow to get this little glassing area. I'm just looking over all this snow everywhere, and I'm like, this is a great observation point, but I really don't want to come up here again. And all of a sudden, we get back to our main glassing spot, and that's when you spotted the bear.
Yeah. Then I glassed. So one of my things when I'm glassing, and then I realized early is like I don't even want to focus on these far away areas because I know it's gonna be just an absolute mob to get over there. So I really didn't want to glass far away, but what I do is I'm glassing far away, and I'm like, oh hey Brady, I got this black log that's moving right now. You know,
Black log was moving.
I'm a jokester if you guys haven't
He hadn't
realized.
seen a bear yet at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I had my first bear, and I was like, that's a black log that's moving, and then I'm like, that's a bear. So we look at this bear, and Brady's glassing again, did you scope? And then he's like, you want to go kill it, don't you? And I was like, yeah, I want to go kill it.
Yep.
So we get up, and we're kind of dissecting a way to drop down. It must have been like 2,000 feet, dude.
I think it was close to 2.5.
Yeah.
We were way up there, and we had to go way down below. But the nice part of what it looked like once we got down below, we'd have sub 400 yard shot on this bear.
Yeah.
So like it was one of those bears that, yeah, it sucks. We just spent all day getting up there. It's not even bear 30 yet. It's going to be prime time, but we got to drop down and go try to kill this bear. This bear's out early.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so we dropped down, It took us like 45 minutes to drop down.
Remember us skiing through the scree?
Yeah, skiing through the scree.
We're
And
literally
everything.
skiing through the scree, like just how you're sliding down
Yep.
through it, like
It was so
cutting the
fun.
time super quickly.
Yeah, like you're a little kid again.
It is fun.
Yeah. Get down there, but like once we get into the brush, working down this mountain is when I think I realized it was going to be tick 30 the whole hunt because there was just ticks everywhere
This is
showing
when
up.
the ticks just were all over us going down this.
That's when I
hot-
get desperate and just start tying off paracord everywhere, sleeves,
Yes.
tail legs,
Yes.
waist, everything.
Yeah. So there was ticks everywhere. We finally
Gross.
get down there, and I think I glassed up once, and I think it was a log because it looked like the bear was still there in that area, but he was just feeding there, so we didn't worry too much about getting there so fast. He was like, he's feeding, he should stay in that little pocket.
Yeah, there was enough opening where we could see him left, right, up, down. Like we thought we
Yeah.
could find him. It was going to be a close thing. So we're starting to creep,
Yeah.
and like it could happen at any moment. We could see him and just lay down and shoot him because it would have been, I think it was 330 yards.
Yeah,
across
would have
there.
been money shot. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, perfect. Like, this is right in my range. On the
And there was a nice
500.
ridge. It was
Yep.
a nice flat ridge. He could lay down pretty flat.
Yeah. So we get down there, and Brady's like, stay behind me. So I'm like, oh, game time. Like, we're getting close here.
Yeah,
Something might
I
happen.
think I said to you, every step I make, you make the exact same step. Follow me exact close. Like
Yep.
it's gonna be a little sketchy for a little bit, but we need to like get on the open.
Yeah.
And then he get hidden again.
Yep.
Even though they have bad eyesight, I was like, I just don't want to risk it and a bear to see us and blow out. But
Yeah. So we do that. I'm staying behind him. And then eventually we kind of like get to the point where it's like we're doing that for 20, 15 minutes. And we're like, the bear's not here. So we sit down and start scanning this country apart. Start looking for where the bear might have gone. Did he work to the other drainage to the right or to the left? Is he working up the shell cliffs? And then all of a sudden I'm like, Brady, I got a bear. And this bear had made it maybe like 400 or 500 yards.
yeah, the bear was at 1,005.
Yeah. So he made it far. And he was just
But
working his
I
way
wasn't
up.
convinced at first it was the same bear. I'm like, the bear was docile, just feeding next to a log. Like, why would that bear leave that little green patch and just decide to shoot straight up these cliffs and get to the way high? But
Yeah.
I think eventually it was the same bear. It looked very similar to it at least.
Yeah. So we saw the bear up high, and we're just like, well, obviously it's too far within range to do anything right now. We're not going to go
And
drop down across the river.
Yeah, we had no way to get closer
Yeah.
without it being too dark now.
Yeah.
So we had no way to get in the same face as the bear.
And then now we ran into another problem where we had never been on this part of the mountain, and we knew that we're not going to climb up 2,000 feet to drop down back to camp because that was still some nasty like side hill and ribbon cliff dealing with. So no, we knew we weren't going to do that. We knew we had a side hill back to camp and then find a way up. So then the worry got into our head and it's like, okay, this bear's going to be gone. But we know there's a bear here that's kind of closer to where we're camping, so we could always check out this spot. So no worries there. Now we kind of went into game time mode of figuring out how to get to camp and up safely. And you were like running across the mountain.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where like I've been in it enough where I didn't want to deal with going up these cliffs in the dark.
Yeah.
I don't want to get cliffed out.
It's
I
awful.
I want to make sure we get there safely, see it during the daylight, and make some bread trails on the maps so we know how to access this area again. So we were booking it over there. I was like, I've been in this situation. Do not want to deal with it. It could be very unsafe. And it was a steep.
It was
area.
steep. Yeah, it was steep. Went up this like steep, just nasty.
Like you're
nasty
literally
area.
as you're climbing up. It's hard to describe it, but you're climbing up, and the mountain is like right next to your face. It's so steep. You're basically having your hands crawling
Yeah.
up it, and you're trying to dig tracks. And Omar's behind me, so he's staying way behind me because I'm kicking boulders out every now and then. So it's
Yeah.
like it's scary for him. Like, I'm like, I don't know if we want to ever do this again, but at least now we know a route to get back to camp.
Yep, we knew a route to get back to camp, and one of those spots where like you're literally on. You got your legs and one of your left arm like guiding you up, and then you make your trek. I made my trekking pole like as small as I could because, just to like dig it in there and like help me get up. We found out that's one way to get up. Made it up safely. It was it was a grinder, but we got up there safely. I don't think there was any time where we're like, oh, like we're in jeopardy here.
Yeah.
And it was getting dark, but we made it up during the dark, but we were able to see our way up to camp
See enough
during
of it, yeah.
during the evening before it got too dark, which made it a little nicer.
It's not a good feeling
No,
to
being
get
the-
dark and be in real cliffy areas because
Yeah.
you can get yourself in a bad spot real easy.
And then sometimes too, you work your way up,
Then
but
you gotta
going
turn around,
down,
go back down.
turn down
I've-
is
I've
a
done
whole
that.
different ball game.
Yeah, I've done that on elk hunts and I don't like it. Yeah.
So yeah, that was
Your day 4, your day 5 now?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, now we're going into day 5.
Yeah, that was day 4. So that was our first night in that camp. first like official night after like really like hunting all day. So we get there, and then we kind of like started making this tradition where Brady would go into the tent, and he would like
Omar
start
would
the fire
cook outside.
and
Then we would hug.
I got my rights. I got my rights back. I think on day 5 of cooking in the tent. But Brady would make the fire, and I would like just go restock on wood. I was banned from the saw after this.
Yeah, he's breaking him with his feet now.
Yeah, I'm breaking in my feet and my boots.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the night too where, like I said, there was ticks everywhere, and we're literally at camp, and we probably
tick picking.
Yeah,
we're tick picking all night and dropping them on the seek outside stove and just letting them explode. And then we realized at one point we had too many ticks on top of the stove where it was smelling like burnt ticks in the shelter. So then we're like, every time we drop one on there, right when it dies, you need to take a stick and scrape that thing off because I don't want to smell ticks. I'm sure that's probably not something that you want to smell.
Sometimes they kind of they like will boil up and blow up like popcorn and go fall off of the stove. Yeah.
So we're literally, no joke, like 30, 40 ticks each picking us off at night.
Yeah.
And set them on the stove.
Ticks each?
Each.
Yeah.
So like 60 to 80
Oh, yeah.
ticks? Holy shit.
Did you come home with any ticks?
Yep. I had a tick on me yesterday when I was in Starbucks drive-thru
I had a dream.
Where at?
in Las Vegas.
I know, but where at in your
Oh,
body?
it was like on my neck. It was
Crawling on your neck?
Crawling on my neck.
Oh, it
had
wasn't
they had
buried.
it planted yet?
No, it wasn't buried.
No.
No, I don't think I got any buried on
We had a
me.
lot bite us though.
It's probably coming off your gear.
Yeah.
You have your gear in your car?
Yep, I threw the backpack in there.
There you go.
So yeah, now we're dealing with ticks, and for the rest of the hunt, every single day we're just picking ticks off like mad.
Yep.
But then the next morning, we woke up and we had a snowstorm, like legit snow.
Yeah. Snow.
And so we lost basically the whole morning. We kind of just sat inside the shelter, made a bunch of endless, copious amounts of coffee. And then finally it was maybe noon, we started going out.
Yep.
So now we're like, okay, we're going to drop down near that same path. We didn't think that path we came up was safe enough to go down, so we found like a different way we could get up and over some cliffs, get down to where we were last night, and side hill all the way over where that bear was the night before. We get over there, it's maybe 1 in the afternoon. Omar turns out that bear right away from last night.
The same bear?
Same bear from last night. He was still at that 1,000-yard range. We're like, well,
Yeah.
crap, like what do we do? We can't really cross anywhere here safely because you look down like there's nowhere to cross this river. And so then I had to make the hard decision. I'm like, it's going to suck, Omar. We're going to leave this bear. Like, we'll find other bears. It's not worth our time right now because it's overcast. It's perfect. There's bears moving. We need to go find other bears. Like,
Yeah.
we can't hunt this bear, so we got to get out of here and keep moving.
Go find one you can hunt.
Go find one.
Yeah,
we can hunt.
and we still knew that bear, the first bear that Brady turned up the day before. That was our plan. Was like, let's go to where we saw the bear that
Yeah,
you
because
turned up the day
he was on
before.
our hillside, so
He
we
was
could
on
go
our
kill
hill-
him
yeah.
if we saw him.
So let's start. We stayed there and looked at him for like 45 minutes, an hour maybe. Had a snack, and then we're like, oh, whatever. He's too far. Looks like he's living here. It's the second day we've seen him here. So like, if this needs to be one of our plans to kill this bear and cross the river, like we could do that later on the hunt. But for now, let's try to chase some other bears that we've been seeing around. And the day before, I wanted to note this because Brady like mentioned, sometimes what I like to do is just kind of get super high to an observation point and find out where the animals are living and then start hunting that way. And like, that's one of the things that I took away from that hunt. It's like, I need to do that more often. Just go to a super high point and then like observe everything, see where the animals are living. If it's probably applies more to deer hunting and bear hunting, not so much elk, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was like super cool to like take away. And like now we kind of like knew the elevation bands to like where we need to hunt. So we knew we needed to hunt in these areas, and that's where most of the bears are going to start living at.
Yeah, we really honed in on it, and this is when we started picking up
It's a
tons of
slow,
bears.
it's a slow play.
Slow
So,
play,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what we call that. I mean, it might take you might find a bear, an animal, a buck, or even an elk. It might take you might find him on day one. It might take you 5 days to figure out how to kill him.
Yeah.
Just really figure out where he's living.
So now we're in the zone, hiking further and further, trying to get over to that first bear that I saw the night before when I sat down and just glassed it up. Like, we're getting closer. We'll start creeping up here slowly. I'm going to glass that big rock pile where he was hanging out at. And I'm looking up there. We just get to that point. I'm looking just to the right because it's like 600 yards away. Like, I should be able to find that bear if he's there. And, of course, Omar decides to look across the canyon the other way. And, of course, because, again, you see it, you kill it. You can choose if not to. He looks over, and the bear's just out in the freaking open. Easiest bear ever to spot. You can spot it with your freaking naked eyes.
Oh yeah, spot him naked eyes.
And it was a tank.
How far?
This bear was
500, 480-ish.
Yeah,
The shot was at 480, but he was like maybe like 500 to
Yeah,
where we saw
500.
him.
So we saw this bear, and it's like, we're going to kill this bear right now. This is a giant bear. Like, I even told, like, this is one of those things where I said before, I don't want to hype someone up when I'm hunting with someone new. I don't want to say it's a giant animal, like once in a lifetime. But I was like, maybe this will calm him down so we won't have some bad shooting positions or conditions.
Yeah.
Like if I say it's a giant bear, maybe he'll get more in the zone. So I'm like, dude, this is a giant bear. Like, I don't know if we'll find one.
Omar, this is a once in a lifetime giant bear.
I was like, I don't know if we'll find another one big enough, but like,
Don't screw this up. I've never seen one this big.
yeah. So it's like, we need to kill this bear right now. So we bumped around the backside of the ridge. We can get a little flatter area to shoot. Started getting set up. Something was weird with your bipod. I had to go over and grab your bipod and
Lost
flip it
a leg.
around.
Lost a leg.
So he's getting set up. I'm getting digiscope with this bear, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this bear is big. Like, this thing has a pumpkin head on it, and it's all chocolate with like kind of blackish feet.
Yeah, black boots, which is
Yeah.
what I wanted. Like, I'm not picky or nothing. Like, but I was like, if I could have the perfect hunt, I want a chocolate bear, and I turned up a chocolate bear, and we're getting set up, and
Getting setting up.
Meant to be.
Yep. So I grabbed the range, grabbed the wind, dialed the wind for him, told him what to do. Got the scope ready. I'm like, all right, make sure that gun is totally level. Are you comfortable? Are you in a good position? He was like, yeah, I'm totally good. I'm like, all right. Whenever that bear goes broadside, mid body.
Are you still shooting your gun?
Yeah.
The 6.8. So he's getting
No confidence issues in it?
I was confident. I was fully confident. Yeah.
Even coming off the miss.
Yep.
Like you were
Oh,
good.
that'd be messing with my
Me
head.
too.
'Cause
Especially like you said, you felt like every time you pulled the trigger, it was a dead bear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and it didn't hit. Yeah, that would
those
mess
are
with
the
my
things
head.
in my
man.
mind where
Me
I'm
too.
like, oh,
Mind games.
yeah.
Because coming off the miss, we kind of came up to a game plan. We were just like, all right, no more shots over 500 yards. And I was like, yep, let's do that. 500 and under is going to be the bread and butter. So we're getting set up. And what was like kind of nice was this bear had no idea that we were there, and he was just feeding up. So we knew he was going to be in this joint area. And I think we were able to set up for like, it felt like 2 minutes, but we were probably there for like 10, 15 minutes before.
Yeah,
I
because at one
actually
point we
shot.
lost sight of him behind that cliff.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's right next to that snow patch. Just get set up, get comfortable, get on the gun, just act like you're going to shoot. If you need to dry fire, do whatever you need to do. Just get comfortable. Eventually that bear will work on top of that next cliff band. And the bear came up the cliff band, and I was like, all right, get ready. I'm recording.
Did you say game time?
I wanted to camp us game time.
Shout out
Campo
Brian
special.
Campos.
Brian Campos.
What he did was, there's a big bear.
Yeah, it's like, this is a big bear.
course. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like,
So this is the funny part. I look over at him. I see his safety is still on. And I'm like, all right, take it mid-body. I see the safety still on. I'm just going to watch him because I know he can't shoot. So instead of looking through the digiscope, I look over at him and I see his finger outside the trigger guard, completely away from the trigger.
You see it creeping.
Just goes, whack! Like, literally smashes it. And I'm like, Omar, your safety's on. Can't do that with your trigger. Get your trigger finger in there and then press that trigger.
You're
I
nervous.
love that
You're
you-
nervous.
I got nervous because I mean at this point I'm like, I know the bear's in my distance, and I know we've been sitting here for a while. I know like if everything goes right, this should be a dead bear.
And it was whatever it was, 462.
Yeah, 462. So I'm like, I'm there, and then kind of all the preparation that you do. Like I felt like I was shooting really good at the range, but all the preparation you do once again, just goes out the shitter. So I'm like, now again, I'm a hot mess.
Yeah.
And
Physical.
I love that Brady let him do that. Like,
Yeah.
noticed it was on safety and was like, yeah, I'm just going to let him do
You
this
can
real
hear
quick.
the digiscope. I'm like, yeah, your safety was on, and you just punch that trigger.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So then I tell him to try to calm down. The bear's still right there, and I'm like, all right, mid body. Now you're dialed. You're comfortable. He's like, yep. I'm like, all right, send it. And he shoots, and instantly, part of me like inside my body just like went, like I don't know how to describe it. I just like lost full. I was like felt bad for him. I was like, it's a high shot.
You missed.
No, he hit it, spined it.
Oh.
So I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know how that shot's going to be. I grabbed my binos, like, get your binos up, try to find this bear. I could see this bear now turned around. He fell off a big cliff. He did tumble, but it's like literally steep country. So like there's cliffs everywhere. So the bear's trying to gain his feet. I'm like, he hit it high, and the bear's running, but I'm like, wait, he's only using his front legs. He's clawing himself forward. He completely knocked out his back legs with the spine shot, so he lost all mobility in the back half of his body. Bear starts going down. He only went down 100 yards maybe, and I lost sight of him some trees. So this is the point where it became silent for a long time. I didn't talk to Omar. I literally just wanted to make sure that bear was dead, and I felt horrible for him. Like, I don't know if that's a kill shot. Honestly don't, and it's a giant bear, and that was his great opportunity. And so I'm going left and going right, walking back and forth where he shot, going around the cliff the other way, trying to like see if I can turn up this bear. And Omar didn't even say anything either. We're just like, just trying to figure out the situation and how to deal with this right now. And I just felt horrible for him. Like, you know, you hit high. We reviewed this footage again. Actually reviewing it a few more times, and it was hard in the light, but I finally could get a shaded spot enough where I could look at it. I'm like, okay, you hit it high, but he did take a little bit of a step, but it's maybe not as high as I thought it was. But I was like, I just don't know. And luckily we could see that canyon where he was in, and there was snow down in the canyon. So I was like, I don't see any blood or slide marks further down the canyon from where I last saw him. So he did not make it down further. And I don't see him right now, which is probably a good thing. He's probably just in that timber, either dead or sitting there about to die. And we're deciding what to do. And finally Omar was like, well, I owe this bear everything right now. I'm literally going to sit here all night and glass this spot. And I was like, all right, use your spotter, use your binos as the shadows change, work the angles, work those shadows, see if you can finally find a glimpse of that bear. And I even took my spotter up for a little bit and was trying to find it.
Yeah.
And then he was like, you should go find another bear right now. And I'm going to stay here and do this bear justice and sit here all night till dark, see if I can turn it up.
Yep. Yeah. So did that.
What was going through your head though after the shot? And he told you it was high. What was going through your head?
Well, so instantly I shoot, and right after the shot, Brady's like, it's high. And then in my head, I'm like, what? There's no way. Like I felt perfect and saw that bear do like the roll. Just because everything was happening so fast, I thought, looking at the digiscope, you could truthfully say he drops down, but like his front legs and try to grab up again, he just losing that balance. So I like just like in the actual real time that it happened, I thought I shot and that bear just started rolling down dead, but it turned out he was shot and then it damaged him and started rolling down. So like I instantly, right after the shot, I was like hyped. I was like, there's a dead bear, and then Brady's like, hi. And we start glassing a little bit, and he was like, dude, I saw it like run around with like, I saw it run with its front paws going, but his back legs were done. And like, you know, he was paralyzed or whatever. He didn't have anything. And then from there on, it was just like silence. I was like, you know, I did have like that quick thought of like, dude, is this shit even for me? Like, what am I doing back here? God knows how many miles with like a gun, like injuring an animal. And like, I was like truthfully just like distraught. I was, you know, like I had like that small, like just idea of like, is this even for me? Like, truthfully, I was like, I don't know. Like, if I can't turn up this bear, if I can't find him, like I'm seriously I'm going to have to deal with some things, because it's not fun to be in that situation. And I think I shot at, it was like 4:20 in the night. Right, it was like 4:20 in the afternoon when I shot. So we stayed there. Brady was there for like 45 minutes to an hour glassing with me, and then I was just like, hey man, like go keep hunting. I'm gonna just stay here. I know like this is a very nasty drainage where he's at. We didn't see him run out or nothing, so we know he's gonna be, if he's not dead from where he rolled down, he should be dead in the willows, and I'm gonna use those shadows. And Brady quickly gave me that advice. He's like, as the shadow moves, like move around, grab your spotter, like look into those dark areas and whatnot. And then, you know, kind of just stood there, and as I was glassing for the next 4 or 5 hours, it was just terrible. Like, I don't know. It's one of like just those nasty feelings. I don't even know how to describe it. It's almost like, I think I told you, I was like, dude, I want to barf, but like, no, like I can't, you know, it's like I had like, just like that nasty, like, anxiety, just like almost like I want to throw up. I don't know what to do. Honestly, kind of wanted to cry. I was, you know. And then what was actually kind of cool was like this goat started coming up.
This mountain goat
came up and was just like staring down into where that bear actually ended up dying. And in the back of my head, I'm like, is that mountain goat just looking at a dead bear right now?
The mountain goat literally never moved. Like when I left him, the mountain goat was there, and I came back, and the mountain goat was still in the same spot.
Yeah,
just
looking down.
Looking down the mountain.
Yeah.
In that same canyon.
Yeah, so stood there, stayed there, different angles, used the mountain side hill and getting up higher, getting down lower. Could never find the bear or nothing. I thought I saw glimpses of like, oh, is that a dead bear? And then, you know, pull out the spotter, and it wasn't. It was just a weird patch of dirt or whatever, moss. And then Brady comes back, and
I spotted some bears.
Yeah, you spotted some bears.
Yeah, I spotted 3 or 4 bears.
Yeah. you come back, you told me you had some bears, and I told you nothing. So that kind of wrapped it up. We worked back to camp, and
The one thing beforehand, though, we started assessing the situation for the morning.
yeah,
Then this is again where I started taking a bunch of photos of the terrain. Like, we needed to take some photos, mark the spot I killed, did the rangefinder tool across where the bear was dead, so we know exactly how to do it. Like, we're now have to go in there tomorrow and get over there, which is going to be hard too, because we get over there and there's no bear. We just burned a whole day trying to do it, but we have to do it to the justice of the bear.
What was the decision not to go down there?
It would have been just probably too nasty, and I didn't know if we could actually get in there and turn up the bear again. Because there's where the cliff was on the one side, you'd have to scale that cliff, which wouldn't be possible to actually look down in there. And if you got the other side of it, you still wouldn't be able to see where that bear was either. Like, it's a perfect spot where we could see it from where he shot, like down below where the bear was, kind of up the canyon a little bit. Like, you could see a lot, but it was just hard with those shadows and those trees. So I figured we'll just wait all night.
yeah. And if he was alive, we don't want to go in there with a pissed off big black bear that's, you know, hurt and fighting for his life right now. So
like, if anything, for everything I've learned, bears are pretty soft. If you do get some good stuff, it's going to kill them. So bear could be dead in there a little bit. We'll just go in there tomorrow. So we had a, long hike back to camp. Ate a bunch of food.
Long night.
yeah, long night.
It's a bad feeling.
Can barely sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, wake up again the next day, and then we just kind of drop down, and now we have to find a river crossing that we can make it across. And,
Yeah.
Luckily, when we were walking down, we just kept looking down. We found the spot that looked pretty decent, and so we marked that for the next morning. We came there; it was actually a really good spot to cross, so we crossed with no issues at all.
Yeah, we went back to camp, and that night we were kind of just looking at our maps, seeing where an area where the river could be like widest for the best crossings, and then from there, working up a plan to get up the mountain and start side hilling to that drainage where that bear was at. Yeah.
And that was crazy because, like, you look at that country and you don't think a human can actually walk in it. Honestly, you wouldn't think so. You wouldn't think you could navigate it, get over that bear. It's so cliffy, so scary in a sense. Like, you just don't know. So we got over there, started dropping tracks on GOHUNT maps, started going up and down. We kept getting cliffed out. We have to drop down, climb back up again. Now we have to go up over this cliff.
More willows.
More willows, just straight vertical. Cliffs everywhere. Finally, we get over to the spot where we can, like, see down in the canyon. That probably was, I think, an hour and a half took us to get all across this face.
Yeah.
So it was like 700 yards we had to go across the face. It took us an hour and a half to get over there. And then we got to the exact spot where he shot his bear. And I, like, looked at the digiscope footage. Like, dude, look at that little tree right there. The bear was standing right there. We walked over there. We found a lot of blood.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's good.
Yeah, and then right here is like we're instantly, I think on the hike in, I was like, I kind of went through like these like different emotions where it's like that we're gonna go in and that bear's gonna be dead. So like I'm like having myself up there. I'm like, I know that was a good shot. Like I know he's dead. I know he's, how I shot him. He was gonna end up dying. So we're gonna find the dead bear. And then the doubt starts creeping in, right? You get there and like you start seeing some blood and then you start working your way down the hill. We're glassing and I'm like, oh my God, like is this gonna happen?
Not seeing it at all. And we're like, it's one of those times where you're probably 15 minutes. We're going downhill.
Yeah.
Glassing, looking, don't see anything.
Nothing.
So now again, you're like, is that bear there?
Yeah.
Like, did it somehow slip out from us that we couldn't see? Then, like you said, should have we gone in there?
Yeah.
So then I started thinking about that. We did have the time probably to go over there, but like it did take quite a while to drop off that spot we're at, cross all the way over there.
Well, one thing's for sure, if you did, you'd have been coming out in the dark and trying to navigate.
I didn't want to come out the dark either.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
So that's why we had the whole day ahead of us. So we start creeping down further, start looking for the bear. And at one point, Omar's like, "What if this bear's still alive?" I'm like, "Let's hope it's not."
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
because like he had his rifle sitting on his backpack, and we're hiking through it. And I'm like, "You go that way, and I'll go this way." And then he threw me that question. So he's like, "Omar thinks he's gonna die right now."
Yeah. Another debacle.
Another debacle. So we start creeping a little bit. Omar's probably 50 yards to my left. I'm creeping down a little bit further, and I'm just going down this little area where I thought this was a tree patch where I last saw him. And I do the old look over to my right. I see this little brown patch. And I see fur. And I tried as my best I can. I'm like, Omar, you should come over here.
Yeah.
You know, that classic thing.
Yeah,
Like, hey,
oh, yeah.
come over and let's look at this area. He's like, what, you got him? And he probably could tell because I pulled out my phone.
Why is it in that situation it's never a guy that shot the bear that's
It's never-
or
it never
the animal
is.
that
Yeah,
finds it? So I've
never.
done that with Neville twice. Like I've found the elk that he's killed, and both times I've been like, "Hey Neville, come over here."
Yeah.
It's actually funny because I had, I even told Brady, but I had glimpses because the GOHUNT original were the OTC elk, and like you're like, hey Neville, like put your
sit down and eat
yeah,
your
sit-
snack, look over,
Yeah, and so I was having like glimpses of that. I'm like, hopefully, like this is what I'm hoping happens. And then eventually that happened, and I told Brady, I was like, dude, this like gave me. I was thinking about that original like the whole time of that scene.
Yeah.
And then it's like one of those things too, where like, I don't know if that bear's dead. So I was like, Omar, take your rifle out. Let's put the low power, get around in, walk up to it. I threw some rocks at it, didn't move. I'm like, all right, Omar, just keep getting closer. Just get ready. You know, it's probably dead at this point. People are making noise and stuff like that. But we made it all the way over here. If this bear's alive, you need to shoot this bear right away. It's like, if it moves an inch, shoot it.
Yep.
Bear's dead. Bear literally probably died.
Yeah, quick.
Right away, right after you shot it. It literally only went down the mountain 80, 100 yards. And in that same timber patch that I lost it, that's where it was dead.
And I think that was knowing that he died quicker than we thought. Personally, I think that he literally just tumbled down and was dead. So knowing like that, I was like, I think it was more of a relief. I mean, it was a relief finding him, obviously, but like it was a huge relief knowing that I didn't make this bear suffer and that the shot that I did take, unfortunately, we didn't see like the whole scenario pan out and how he died and how long it took. But knowing that he died essentially where we like last saw him at, that relief of like, okay, like this bear did not suffer for long. It was, maybe wasn't the best shot, but it was a lethal shot, which gave me a lot of relief too. And yeah, that was huge. That was awesome.
And then we had to deal with all the willows again.
Yeah, then we had to deal
a
with all
bunch
the
of
willows. He died in a bunch of willows.
So we're trying to deal with getting the bear out, and we're trying to move it. I'm like, holy gosh, this bear is giant. Like, it's hard to move it.
Big bear.
Big bear. I think it's right at 6. I
Nice.
didn't get a chance to square it out to put a tape on it, but
Yeah.
it's every bit as big as it reminds me of the bear I shot last year.
Real pretty bear.
Yeah.
Gorgeous bear.
It's
So
cool.
we start moving it, and I'm like, dude, that head on the thing is so big. It's a giant pumpkin head. And I'm just like floored over the moon for Omar to kill, like, not only to kill an animal, but to kill a giant.
Yeah. First big game animal.
First big game
yeah.
animal ever. To like share that moment with him was super special. And I even told him, I think multiple times, like, all your other hunts are going to be way easier after this. Like, killing an animal in this country, in this terrain, doing it the way I like to do it. Like, you're going to, everything else now, like, it's going to seem easy. It's going to get better and better because how the situation worked out. Shoot a giant animal, we're going to share that moment with each other. Went from a high to a low, back to a crazy high. Like, the rest of the time, we sat there and had lunch and just like soaked it up.
Yep.
And then like what's really cool too, like once we, took a bunch of photos, enjoyed the moment for a while, looked at how big his freaking body was and claws. Like his shot was honestly actually not as bad as I thought it was. So it definitely was high and broke his spine. But like the bullet was going, so high that it actually broke through the one side and actually cracked a bunch of his second or third last rib on the opposite side. So it might have hit some really good stuff. And the exit wound was huge, even with a 162 grain, copper bullet. It crunched it. So the shot was pretty good, but I just saw that high shot and lost his back legs and was unconcerning or concerned about it. So I think the right move was leaving it, but like I know it was dead within 20 minutes after he shot it.
Yeah.
But thought it was definitely there for a while, like what happened. And I'm stoked for him. It's a freaking absolute toad of a bear.
That's awesome.
That's his first big game animal.
Yeah, it's really cool.
First big game animal. I've been trying to, harvest a big game animal for, I think, like 2 years. This would be like my third year hunting. So I mean, to have it happen like the way it happened in some like the gnarliest country where I wouldn't even think a bear would want to live, and to like spend it with Brady and him like take me under his wing essentially, and now like pass down some of his knowledge of bear hunting to me, like I thought that was like super awesome. And then to also have it like the capper was on an amazing black bear, one that I truly feel so fortunate and lucky to have and take. And I mean, he's beautiful. Like I dreamt about a cinnamon bear, and that's exactly what I got.
You did say beforehand you really wanted a cinnamon bear.
Yeah. And to have it happen the way it did, and we worked every hour, every second of that day to get there and get that bear. And having Brady there with me was special, and it was truly awesome to have that happen. And then Brady got into cutting the bear.
I joked at first that I'm just gonna go take a nap and you can figure it out.
Awesome.
But yeah, I tried to showcase him how to do it a little bit, but I was like, it's honestly gonna be easier if I just do the whole thing. You just hold some legs for me, and I'll walk you through the process. Because like your first big game animal, to try to cut it up is confusing. Try to cut up a full body bear hide is also very confusing. And I did mention to Omar, I was like, I'm going to cut this bear up exactly like I would cut it with my personal. I'm not going to put a single hole in it. And luckily I didn't put a single hole in it, and we never cut ourselves either.
Yep, that's true.
That's a win. Huge win.
Big win.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a giant bear. Just the coolest experience ever for him to do that.
Yeah, sweet.
How, I'm curious, we're running really long here, but maybe should we break this into two?
We can
And
break
come
it into
back
two.
and do Brady's maybe some other time. You guys film this, right?
Yeah.
So I assume we'll probably do some sort of content with it, original, maybe a short, something like that. So maybe at that point we'll do. Should we do that? Should we do another? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I'm good for whatever.
Should we do that? We're like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Part two. Yeah, we can do. Do you want to do that? Part
Yeah.
two and take a
Break
break.
it into part
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about the pack out and stuff after.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do part two. But before we go, real quick, I just wanted to ask, I mean, you mentioned you've been trying to kill a big game animal for a couple of years. You've been doing that on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like perspective, looking back between like your own efforts and then this hunt going out with Brady, who's hunted a bunch. Like what's your perspective? Like what do you think the role mentorship plays in hunting? Like what did it play for you, and what do you think? Like, does it leave some sort of burning desire into you to like pass that on? Like, how do you feel about mentorship as far as hunting goes?
Well, I mean, I think it's huge. Especially, we talked to the game warden after, and he was. I think he also learned it in hunter's ed, but like the steps of like the big game hunter, where it's like you first kind of get in and you want to kill, and then you maybe want to kill trophy.
Shots.
Trophy shot.
Yep. First stage is shot stage.
Yep.
Second one's fill your tag. Third is trophy.
Yeah,
Yep.
you want
And then,
quantity
like,
eventually or something like that before trophy.
Yeah.
Weapon, and then the final stage, the
Challenge, and then
mentorship.
true sportsman. Yeah, mentorship.
So I thought that was huge, and like going in, like my whole attitude was like just learning, like I do at work, and like I apply it like in the field. Like I just want to be a sponge. So like any things that he was doing, I was picking up on. Like the main thing that I didn't want to do was like limit what he wanted to do. So that was like my biggest thing. I was like, we were able to match like our energies like on that aspect. Like any area that we could go to, we did so together and all that stuff. But I mean, I think it played huge. I learned like more than I could ever imagine on that bear hunt, and I'm confident now. Like if I were to go solo on a bear hunt, that I could turn up bears just because of that one experience, and that I could actually be successful year in and year out.
You're probably gonna eventually, like Trail's getting at, like look forward to doing the same thing. Like pass on the torch when you get some experience and teach someone else and take them out.
Just shortens the learning curve so significantly. I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine. Honestly, I really can't. Like trying to get into it on your own, doing it on your own, trying to figure out all that on your own, and then find success. It seems like almost insurmountable.
I agree.
Like the role of a mentor, somebody that's done it, to kind of take you out and show you the ropes. I mean, it just shortens that learning curve. And I mean, we should all be so lucky that we've had the opportunity to do so. And I mean, I know for me, like my perspective, like whether it's my kids, a brother, something like that, just, I don't know, it means a lot to me now that like, somebody that wants to get into this, I take it pretty seriously that I have some sort of skill set that I could potentially pass on. I think about it a lot in terms of like, like the things that I've been able to do, the hunts I've been able to go on are in essence like dreams of mine. Those were things that I wanted to do so badly. And I got the opportunity to do a lot of them. I mean, there's still a lot of things I would like to do, but I kind of look back and I projected onto other, people, like I can help this person facilitate a dream. Mm-hmm. Like how cool is that?
Yeah. No, that's
it's so cool. My skill set's pretty limited outside of that. You know what I mean? If I'm completely honest, I don't run deep. I'm not a financial wizard by any means. I'm broke all the time. Like I can't really teach anybody anything, but I do have some skill set that could impact somebody. Like I could help somebody achieve something that would be so meaningful to them. So. I mean, it's cool. It's cool that Brady did that, and like, I'd encourage people to go, do it.
How many times have you done that, Brady? Have you ever like?
I mean, I do a lot with like family friends.
Like
we have a group of family I took from Virginia.
Yeah.
And recently, my brother, I took him on his first Western big game hunt. Now he's addicted, and just like walking him through things, because like the first rifle they took out west was not a rifle I would ever want to take out there. Like trying to teach them all those random things and help them out. Now they're very proficient at it. Now. They're addicted, and seeing someone go through those phases of wanting to try something, try it for the first time, they might taste success, might not, but now they're addicted to it. Like it's only a betterment of, hunting as a whole to get more people involved and get them out there. And now they're caring about wildlife. Now they care about issues in states. Like all that stuff just plays a big big factor in just continuing hunting for, future generations.
Yeah, because it really is, I've only been doing this for a short amount of time. It really is hard to get into it and really understand the gear aspects, like one giant thing, and then like understanding how these animals live and like the different phases that they go in, the dates and stuff. I remember like trying to pick Brady's brain a little bit earlier in the year, and I was like, hey, what do you think about X dates? And he would give me some advice, and I was just like, dang, never really thought about that. So like to truly like share that experience with him, and him essentially guide me through like the whole steps and help me out from point A to Z was truly amazing, and nothing that I made sure to like say like thank you like on the mountain a couple times, and I was like, hey man, like thank you, like that means a lot to me, like that what you just did and what you went through. I know this is like your sanctuary hunting, and like I'm super thankful that you were able to share like your small piece of heaven with me.
Yeah,
on
it's
that
cool.
mountain.
She shot a bear in a place that means the world to me, which is
Yeah.
even cooler. Like, yeah, we could have done it a million different ways, but I wanted to show you, my side of what I love and pass on that like fire of why I love remote, nasty mountain ranges with cool
To Goggins
animals.
Jr., the guy who can actually do it.
And he can do it. That's what was great.
That's it. That's probably a good place to stop. We'll take a pee break. I can tell you're ready. You're not ready?
I'm ready for whatever.
I'm ready. I got to pee. So we'll take a break, eat some lunch. We'll do part 2.
All right,
Release
make sure
it.
you use promo code podcast
That's it.
50 50 50. Get maps.
We'll come back and do part 2.